Technological divergence from the Type 59. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 276, Offense and Defense Change Form. Back then, when the entire Y-10 aircraft project team left, Lucio Dico paid little attention and took no effective countermeasures, failing to nip this potential competitor in the bud. To his surprise, the once underappreciated Y-10 design and development team has now made a powerful comeback, like a phoenix from the ashes. They successfully completed the semi-finished Y-10 aircraft and even reached a cooperation agreement with the newly emerging Sichuan Airlines, delivering 5 Y-10 aircraft to the carrier. Without the Y-10's sudden arrival, this order and all subsequent Sichuan Airlines business would have surely gone to McDonnell Douglas. But now, the cooked duck has flown away. How could this not fill Lucio Dico with regret and fury? Deep down, he was filled with endless fear. He knew full well that he had been grossly negligent in this matter. If McDonnell Douglas's top brass held him accountable, he would undoubtedly face appropriate punishment. Thinking of this, Lucio Dico sighed deeply. How abhorrent. Just then, Monbrook, standing nearby, noticed his loss of composure and gently waved his hand, soothing him. Lucio, while you may have had some involvement in this matter, it's not entirely your fault. Our most important priority right now isn't to determine who's right or wrong, but to quickly devise a remedy. The 077 machinery and arms factory was now like a ferocious beast, gazing intently at McDonnell Douglas. The threat it posed could not be underestimated. Lucio Dico's previously apprehensive heart calmed slightly upon hearing this. If a countermeasure wasn't devised quickly, McDonnell Douglas sales in Yan country would suffer a severe blow. Compared to McDonnell Douglas aircraft, the Y-10 aircraft produced by the 077 machinery and arms factory not only outperformed in performance, but also offered a significant competitive price. After a moment's contemplation, Lucio Dico slowly spoke. President Brooke, I think we can leverage the news media to create trouble for the 077 machinery and arsenal. No matter how exceptional the performance of their Y-10 aircraft is, it will inevitably be affected to some extent by our malicious smear campaign. This resonated with Iveco. Due to the relentless slander and defamation by its competitors, Iveco's brand image had plummeted. Numerous customers cancelled their orders, sales plummeted, and the company ultimately lost a significant portion of its valuable market share. There was even a highly ironic saying, Iveco, the big Jinbei, after pulling the coffin, now the ashes. Monbrook nodded. He thought Lucio Dico's idea was a good one and worth a try. When dealing with competitors, one must show absolutely no mercy. One must strike decisively, leaving them no chance to recover or recover. At this moment, a sly glint flashed in Lucio Dico's eyes, and he confidently declared, we must not only have drastic measures, but also a comprehensive strategy. He then launched into a flurry of other ideas. First, we must proactively establish close ties with Yan country's major airlines. The previously stringent terms of cooperation need to be adjusted, offering these airlines some preferential policies to entice them to be the first to purchase large aircraft produced by McDonnell Douglas. Only by securing these orders can we effectively curb the Y-10's sales momentum in China and significantly reduce its sales. While the large aircraft market offers enormous profit margins, its market share is actually quite limited. The top priority is to go all out to secure orders for large aircraft from Yan country. Without sufficient large aircraft orders to support its development, even a company as large and powerful as the 077 machinery arsenal will inevitably face numerous difficulties and challenges in achieving significant growth in the large aircraft sector. Lucio Dico firmly believed that, if the Y-10 aircraft project could be driven into losses and unprofitable, the factory would eventually abandon it. This situation was common in commercial competition, and even McDonnell Douglas had engaged in similar practices. If a research team's project proved unprofitable for a long time, company executives would often disband the team without hesitation. This ruthlessness fully demonstrated the cruelty and ruthlessness of the business world. Monbrook tilted his head slightly. his gaze falling on Lucio Dico beside him, his weathered face now expressing undisguised approval. Montbrook's lips curled slightly as he spoke slowly. "Lucio, I have to say, your proposal is truly a good one." Lucio Dico felt a surge of smug pride upon hearing this, but he feigned a humble smile and replied, "It's just a little trick. President Brooke, you're too kind. Those Yan people love to pursue petty gains. Give them the slightest favor and they'll easily compromise." Montbrook nodded and said, "That's right, we are exploiting that weakness. As long as we successfully secure all orders from the Yan market, the so-called 077 mechanical arsenal, no matter how capable it is, won't be able to compete with our McDonnell Douglas. There's nothing to fear." Lucio Dico's words became increasingly insightful. He offered Montbrook several diabolical schemes targeting the 077 mechanical arsenal's Y-10 aircraft project. McDonnell Douglas immediately took action and contacted major domestic airlines and their superiors, requesting negotiations. They also offered certain preferential policies. However, the heads of domestic airlines were likewise foxes, constantly dragging McDonnell Douglas along. Now they were offering a few small favors, hoping that domestic airlines would buy McDonnell Douglas's large aircraft. It was too late. The major domestic airlines in Yan State had already approved of the deal after Sichuan Airlines purchased 5 Y-10 large aircraft. Even if McDonnell Douglas came to negotiate with them later, they would still cut flesh from the former, because their country now has the ability to build large aircraft. Offense and defense can change. Linjiang Province 077 Mechanical Arsenal. At this time, Lin Chenran received a notice that a force was secretly targeting their own Y-10 large aircraft. Lin Chenran didn't even have to think about it. The ones behind this must be several large aircraft manufacturing companies. The most likely one was McDonnell Douglas. Lin Chenran knew that McDonnell Douglas had always regarded Yan State's large aircraft market as its private domain. Chapter 277. Accelerate the development of the Yan-10 large aircraft project. This is such a shameless scheme, and it's a shame someone could come up with it. Lin Chenran snorted with disdain, scoffing at such a lowbrow tactic. Regarding those news organizations' smear campaign against the 077 machinery and military factory, Yan State officials would certainly help the factory resolve its problems and eliminate any negative impacts. The 077 machinery and military factory held a formidable position in the hearts of Yan State's top brass. A massive military-industrial complex could transform and enhance a nation's defense capabilities. Unlike the news organizations, those domestic airlines were far more difficult to deal with. They were cunning as foxes. McDonnell Douglas and other large foreign aircraft development and manufacturing companies wouldn't readily purchase their aircraft unless they offered them a huge profit. Unless they offered airline executives sweet treats, like learning a foreign language. Just small favors? They wouldn't even consider them. These people were shrewd. They are obsessed with how to cut a piece of meat from the major aircraft manufacturing companies. Even when facing their own 077 mechanical military factory, they are the same. They can even use those major foreign aircraft manufacturing companies as bargaining chips to force 077 to give an extremely favorable price in an attempt to achieve the so-called killing two birds with one stone. At this moment, Lin Chenran was frowning, thinking hard about what strategy to adopt in order to make his own Yan-10 aircraft successfully go abroad and thus have the strength to compete fiercely with those major foreign aircraft manufacturing giants. At present, the scale of Yan's large aircraft market is really too small. It is tantamount to a foolish dream to want to achieve substantial development in such a limited space. Only by bravely stepping out of the country and expanding into a broader international market can there be a chance for their own large aircraft to occupy a place in the global aviation field. Then, Lin Chenran turned around and glanced at his assistant Xiao Liang and said calmly, "Xiao Liang, go and inform Ma Fengshan, the person in charge of the Yan-10 aircraft project team, to come to my office as soon as possible. There are important matters that need to be discussed with him in person." After Assistant Xiao Liang left, Lin Chenran leaned back in his chair, crossed his hands on his chest, and waited thoughtfully. Time passed by minute, and about half an hour later, a burst of hurried footsteps came from far away. Then, the office door was pushed open, and a tall man with a sweaty face appeared at the door. This man was Ma Fengshen, and he was out of breath, obviously jogging all the way. Seeing this, Lin Chenran quickly stood up, with a smile on his face, and walked quickly to the door to greet him. "Oh, Mr. Ma, thank you for your hard work. Please come in, please come in." As he said, he led Ma Fengshen to the sofa area in the office. "Mr. Ma, please sit down, and rest your feet first." Lin Chenran warmly invited Ma Fengshen to take a seat, and at the same time, turned to his assistant Xiao Liang and instructed, "Xiao Liang, quickly prepare 2 cups of hot tea for us to quench Mr. Ma's thirst and cool down." After receiving the order, Xiao Liang acted quickly. After a while, he came over with 2 cups of steaming hot tea, gently placed them on the coffee table, and then tactfully left the office. Lin Chenran and Ma Fengshen each picked up a cup of hot tea, took a sip, and immediately a warm current slid down their throats into their stomachs, making people feel extremely comfortable and cozy. While tasting the fragrant tea, the two chatted casually. From the recent work progress to the interesting things in life, the atmosphere was relaxed and harmonious. A moment later, Ma Fengshen put down his teacup, glanced at Lin Chenran, and asked directly, "Mr. Lin, what brings you here in such a hurry?" Lin Chenran's lips curled up slightly, revealing a faint smile. He gently placed the delicate teacup on the table, then leaned forward slightly, his gaze fixed intently on Ma Fengshen. He slowly asked, "Mr. Ma, when will our highly anticipated Y-10A aircraft undergo its first test flight?" Ma Fengshen frowned slightly at this, and fell into a brief moment of contemplation. After a moment, he raised his head, his eyes firm and confident, and replied, "Mr. Lin, according to our original plan, the Y-10A aircraft is expected to roll off the production line in 3 months. By then, it will undergo a series of rigorous and complex testing phases." Ma Fengshen paused, as if reconfirming the timeline in his mind. The Y-10A aircraft, based on the previous generation, underwent countless meticulous upgrades, modifications, and optimizations before its creation. The R&D team put in significant effort, deeply optimizing key areas like the cabin seat layout and power takeoff system. Even the complex and sophisticated instrumentation layout was repeatedly refined, striving for perfection. 3 months. Lin Chenran muttered. Then he continued, "Mr. Ma, we need to speed up." "Why?" Ma Fengshen looked at Lin Chenran, who generally refrained from interfering in his decision making. "Mr. Ma, our competitors have taken action." Lin Chenran then explained to Ma Fengshen. He informed him that McDonnell Douglas had begun to discredit the Y-10 aircraft produced by its own 077 machinery and military factory. They were also contacting major domestic airlines, hoping to secure a large number of orders. Then, Ma Fengshen's brow furrowed upon hearing this. He had come into contact with the tyranny of McDonnell Douglas when he was in Shanghai. He didn't expect that McDonnell Douglas would actually put down its proud head and actively negotiate cooperation with several domestic airlines. For orders, it can give up some profits. "Mr. Ma, don't worry about sales, I will follow up." Lin Chenran's words made Ma Fengshen calm down. "We need to develop our long-range large aircraft, and I will go abroad to find customers. You also know that the domestic large aircraft market is not large, and there are only a few airlines. Our Y-10 aircraft does not have the ability to fly for a long time. For longer routes, we need to stop in the middle." Lin Chenran's idea is to strike a combination of punches, selling the 2 large aircraft together, and giving foreign airlines enough price. Ma Fengshen also knows the urgency of the moment. He patted Lin Chenran's chest and gave a guarantee. "Mr. Lin, we will speed up the research and development progress, and will not drag the company down. Don't worry." Shortly after Ma Fengshen left, Song Xian pushed the door in. The next chapter has been reviewed. Please wait a while. Chapter 278. 077 Mechanical Military Factory enters the automobile field. Song Xian walked into the spacious and bright office with steady steps. Lin Chenran came forward to greet him with a smile on his face. "Mr. Song, you are here. Please sit here," Lin Chenran said, while extending his hand to guide Song Xian to the comfortable sofa area. Song Xian nodded slightly and followed Lin Chenran to the sofa and sat down. At this time, the assistant Zhao Liang was very smart. He quickly walked in with 2 cups of steaming hot fragrant tea. After placing the teacups gently on the coffee table, Zhao Liang quickly picked up the used teacups on the table, then turned and left, not forgetting to carefully close the door. Song Xian picked up a cup of hot tea, took a sip, felt the warmth flowing down his throat, and relaxed a lot. After a short rest, he said, "Mr. Lin, the production line for our factory's car manufacturing has been built, and the relevant engineering team has also been formed, and can be put into work at any time." Hearing this news, Lin Chenran's eyes flashed with excitement and anticipation. The 077 Machinery and Military Factory is now planning to enter the automotive manufacturing sector. With the implementation of Yan's reform and opening up policy, the domestic economy is experiencing unprecedented economic growth. With rising living standards, demand for automobiles as a means of transportation is increasing. Market demand for a wide range of vehicles, from large trucks for freight transport to passenger cars for everyday family use, is soaring. Since 1983, a number of joint venture automakers have emerged in China. Their advanced technology and high-quality vehicles have seen sales soar in the domestic market. Faced with such a huge business opportunity, the 077 Machinery and Military Factory is eager to seize a share of this vast market. "Mr. Song, we can't wait any longer. We need to urge them to start designing the models immediately." Lin Chenran looked at Mr. Song eagerly, his eyes revealing determination. All the preliminary preparations have been successfully completed. If they continue to hesitate and waste time, they will likely miss the opportunity, lose the advantage to competitors, and ultimately fail. As the saying goes, hesitation leads to failure. We must act decisively and swiftly. Success in the fiercely competitive automotive market comes to those who are prepared and daring enough to take action. As for the core technological issues involved in automobiles, they're a piece of cake for the renowned 077 Machinery and Military Factory. The 077 Machinery and Military Factory designs, develops, and manufactures a wide range of advanced weaponry for the Navy, Army, and Air Force. From complex and sophisticated fighter jets to powerful tanks and armored vehicles, the 077 Machinery and Military Factory effortlessly handles the design, development, and manufacture of all types of equipment. So what's the point of a mere car? Take, for example, the 3 most critical components of a car: the engine, chassis, and transmission. The 077 Machinery and Military Factory not only possesses comprehensive and mature engine technology, but with minimal modification and adjustment, it can easily meet the performance requirements of various vehicle types. Chassis tuning is even easier. The Sudus and the Camel region are known for their discerning tastes when it comes to purchasing weapons and equipment. Besides demanding powerful weapons, they also place great importance on comfort during use. The various equipment produced by the 077 Machinery and Military Factory achieved pinnacle performance in both handling and ride comfort, earning rave reviews from the Sordus and the Camel region, who found absolutely no fault. They applied their exceptional tuning expertise to the automotive industry. Car comfort? Easy. Transmissions? Even easier. Most cars these days use manual controls, making them a no-brainer for the 077 Machinery and Military Factory. As for automatic transmissions, the 077 Machinery and Military Factory needed to research them, but the challenge wasn't too great. The 3 major components of automobile manufacturing have been solved. Song Xian nodded. "No problem. I'll arrange it. The sedan should be ready in about 6 months. As for the truck, it should be ready in a month and a half." Song Xian pondered for a moment before giving his estimated timeline. Trucks weren't a particularly technically demanding endeavor for the 077 Machinery and Military Factory. They had previously produced large trucks for the Yan Kingdom military. As for civilian use, that was even simpler. Just the front and the cabin. "Mr. Song, this automobile manufacturing plant is very important to our 077 Machinery and Military Factory," Lin Chenran emphasized. With the increasingly rapid economic development of Yan country, the number of cars owned has skyrocketed. The 077 Machinery and Military Factory will certainly not miss out on this huge market. Song Xian is well aware of the importance of the layout of automobile production and manufacturing to the 077 Machinery and Military Factory. Chenran, don't worry, I know. Time flies, and in a blink of an eye, 2 weeks have passed since Yan country's Grand Zuhei weapons and equipment exhibition. During this time, countries around the world are still talking about the advanced weapons and equipment displayed at the exhibition. At this time, after careful consideration and repeated weighing, the Afghan side finally made a major decision. They decided to place an order for a light aircraft carrier from the 704 shipyard. This decision will undoubtedly have a profound impact on the Afghan Navy. Owning a powerful aircraft carrier is crucial to enhancing the overall strength of a country's navy. Algeria has precisely seen this, and hopes to enhance its combat capability and strategic deterrence at sea by introducing this light aircraft carrier. In terms of payment, Algeria expressed its difficulties. Due to the many obstacles encountered in domestic economic development and the tight financial situation, Algeria is unable to pay all the funds needed to purchase this light aircraft carrier at one time. After difficult negotiations and consultations, Algeria finally proposed to only bear 40% of the cost of this light aircraft carrier and intends to use domestic resources to pay off the debt for the rest. Although such a plan is not perfect, it is also a stopgap measure that can be thought of under the current circumstances. After learning about Algeria's proposal, Pan Zooming, the head of the 704 shipyard, did not dare to make a decision on his own and immediately asked Lin Chenran for instructions, letting the latter make the decision. After learning about the situation in detail, and after some thought, Lin Chenran decisively agreed to Algeria's request. For the 704 shipyard, being able to successfully take over this order not only means huge profits, but also an excellent opportunity to demonstrate its strength and technical level in the international market. Having a sucker allows his own 704 shipyard to practice. Lin Chenran is very happy. When the aircraft carrier technology accumulates to a certain stage, when the Yan state military wants to build a large aircraft carrier, the 704 shipyard will be able to take over this task. Love is in the air. The 704 shipyard quickly reached a cooperation with the Afghan country. When the news that the two sides were about to work together to build a light aircraft carrier came out, it was like a blockbuster bomb dropped into a calm lake, instantly causing an uproar at home and abroad. Major media outlets rushed to report on the matter, and the international community paid close attention to it. Various speculations and analyses emerged in an endless stream. Countries around the world did not expect that after the Saudi kingdom in the Camel region, the Afghan kingdom would also reach a cooperation with the 704 shipyard of the Yan state. An order for a light aircraft carrier was placed with the 704 shipyard. Is the light aircraft carrier of the 704 shipyard really that good? Did the Afghan kingdom throw itself into the arms of the Yan state? For a time, there were many different opinions, and it was very lively. Among them, the most intense and emotionally charged reaction came from John. They openly and publicly condemned Yan's sale of the light aircraft carrier to Azerbaijan through various channels. They claimed that this move would exacerbate the already tense competitive atmosphere in the region. Undoubtedly, John had ulterior motives behind such a drastic move. They absolutely did not want to see Azerbaijan's naval power significantly strengthened, as that would pose a direct threat to their interests, particularly those strategically located islands. Azerbaijan had previously fought a thrilling war with John, but it ended in a crushing defeat for Azerbaijan. Not only did the islands suffer a tragic loss, but the nation itself fell into a long period of decline, from which it could never recover. Clearly unwilling to remain at this disadvantage, Azerbaijan decided to make a last-ditch effort, attempting to significantly bolster its naval power by acquiring a light aircraft carrier. Their purpose is self-evident: to someday recapture the lost island from John and avenge their previous defeat. Things are different now. John is no longer the mighty power it once was, known as the empire on which the sun never sets. With the passage of time and the evolution of the international landscape, it has gradually become a subordinate of the Eagle Source, and its military has shown clear signs of decline, with its overall strength regressing significantly compared to before. When Algeria placed an order for a light aircraft carrier from the Yan Kingdom's 077 mechanical arsenal, John was quick to criticize, even issuing harsh condemnations and warnings. Lin Chenran scoffed at John's harsh condemnation and warnings. John is no longer the empire on which the sun never sets, and Yan is no longer the one to be bullied. Condemn them if you will, it won't affect their sales of weapons and equipment. A senior official in the Eagle source country said, Azerbaijan has actually purchased a light aircraft carrier from Yan's 704 shipyard. While this carrier will have minimal impact on me, it will undoubtedly significantly enhance Yan's aircraft carrier building capabilities. This situation cannot be allowed to continue. I must find a way to stop them. A senior official in the Russian Bear country said, I didn't expect to receive orders for light aircraft carriers. It seems we should consider selling them to increase revenue. Russia previously collaborated with Yan to develop Arctic shipping routes. Through this cooperation, Russia gradually recovered, social conflicts within the country were somewhat alleviated, and economic development was no longer stagnant or even declining as before. Thanks to its strong trade relations with Yan, Russia can also conveniently purchase a variety of high quality and affordable light industrial products from Yan. However, Russia currently faces a serious problem, a shortage of funds. Just then, it suddenly thought of a perfect opportunity. The White Elephant country had previously expressed interest in purchasing an aircraft carrier to strengthen its navy. Since that's the case, why not cooperate with the White Elephant nation? This will not only solve our funding problems, but also further expand our share of the international arms trade market. All for the White Elephant Navy. Meanwhile, the Japanese nation strongly condemned the Yan nation's sale of light aircraft carriers to other countries, claiming it would create significant instability in the relevant regions and countries. The Japanese nation's intentions were well known. They simply didn't want the Yan nation's aircraft carrier technology to develop rapidly, as this would greatly increase their insecurity. A powerful neighbor would restrict them in every way. They were particularly afraid that the Yan nation, possessing powerful aircraft carriers, would at some point invade their waters or territory to strike them down. Han, smack tight. We also possess aircraft carrier construction technology. Yan's aircraft carrier technology was stolen from us. How could you, Ago, be so blind as to choose to place an order with Yan's 704 shipyard? White Elephant, TSK. We also have aircraft carriers. Light aircraft carriers are child's play. What's so great about that? Sand, in the Camel region. Congratulations to Ago on acquiring the Xingchen light aircraft carrier and contributing to the security and stability of the international community. Yan officials responded with a domineering tone. Ago's choice is absolutely correct. Our country's aircraft carrier construction technology is world leading, and the Xingchen light aircraft carrier's performance is top tier. Can the security of the international community be affected by a single light aircraft carrier? Countries expressed their views on Ago ordering a light aircraft carrier from Yan's 704 shipyard. Most countries did not want Ago to purchase an aircraft carrier from Yan, as it would strengthen Yan's aircraft carrier construction technology. It would destabilize the world. But they were helpless. Ago had already reached a cooperation agreement with Yan's 704 shipyard. Yan officials had also issued a warning to other countries. Unless a group of countries tear their faces off and fight to the end with Yan country, a light aircraft carrier will indeed not pose much threat to the world order. Linjiang Province 077 Mechanical Arsenal. At this time, Lin Chenran was holding the phone and answering the call. On the other end was Mr. Zhang from the Yan country Navy. Your 704 shipyard has become completely famous at home and abroad. I really didn't expect that your 704 shipyard would actually reach a cooperation with a country to build a star-class light aircraft carrier for it. Mr. Zhang was instantly filled with emotion. I didn't expect that the 704 shipyard would develop so well in Lin Chenran's hands. 2 star-class light aircraft carriers were sold in a row. Before, at the Zhuhai Weapons and Equipment Exhibition, a country directly found our 704 shipyard and discussed about cooperating to build a light aircraft carrier. Lin Chenran simply recounted the process. At this time, Mr. Zhang envied the A country Navy. Even they have aircraft carriers, but the Yan country Navy has no aircraft carriers. The irony is that there are shipyards in the country that have the technology to build aircraft carriers, but now due to funding and other problems, the Navy is unable to own aircraft carriers. Chapter 279. A century-old Navy is not just talk. The Navy cannot be impatient. It must proceed step by step. Only in this way can the foundation be laid step by step. Lin Chenran said in a gentle tone, comforting softly. A century-old navy is not just empty talk. If you want to build a strong naval fleet, you must be down to earth and proceed step by step. Although the current Yang Kingdom Navy has reached a certain scale, it still lags behind the world's first-class level. At present, the entire Yan Kingdom Navy has only one Lin Jiang-class Aegis missile destroyer as its main battleship to support the situation. Even if it immediately has an aircraft carrier, without the protection of powerful frigates, missile destroyers, cruisers, supply ships, submarines and other types of ships, this aircraft carrier is nothing more than a conspicuous live target, and the deterrent effect it can exert is quite limited. This is like a young child holding a priceless gold brick and walking alone in a bustling downtown. Such a fragile defense system, once attacked by the enemy, the consequences will be disastrous. Old Zhang couldn't help but sigh deeply. In reality, Elder Zhang knew full well that, given Yan Nation's current comprehensive strength, it was far from the optimal time to possess an aircraft carrier. Yet, whenever he saw the awe-inspiring aircraft carrier fleets of other nations, he was filled with envy and longing. Lately, Elder Zhang had clearly felt his health declining, like a candle in the wind, seemingly nearing its end. If it weren't for his unwavering belief in the swift arrival of a domestically produced aircraft carrier, which silently sustained him, he would likely struggle to persevere even now. Ah. A long drawn-out sigh echoed from Elder Zhang. His face was haggard, his eyes revealing an endless loneliness and sorrow. He shook his head slowly, muttering to himself, I truly don't know if my frail body will be able to hold out long enough to witness the birth of a domestically produced aircraft carrier. Though Elder Zhang's voice was soft, each word carried a weight that startled Lin Chenran. His words were filled not only with a sense of helplessness at his own ill-fated fate, but also with a deep hope for the future prosperity of the Yan Nation's navy. This old man, who dedicated his life to the country, poured all his energy into the country's coastal defense. Mr. Zhang, please don't scare me with such words. Lin Chenran, who was on the other end of the phone, was shocked when he heard this. I was also looking forward to you representing our navy and personally placing an order for aircraft carriers for our 704 shipyard. If you fall, who can complete this task? Lin Chenran started to make fun of him, encouraging him in another way. Ha 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 ha. You little brat, I'm not that easy to die. Mr. Zhang suddenly threw his head back and laughed, his laughter full of heroism and indomitable spirit. As long as I have a breath left, I will insist on seeing the day when the domestically made aircraft carrier is launched. Otherwise, even if I die, I will not be able to rest in peace, and I will not be able to face the martyrs and great men who sacrificed their lives for the country. Mr. Zhang's eyes became unusually firm, as if he had seen through the thick fog and the magnificent scene of the domestically made aircraft carrier setting sail on the sea. At that moment, Lin Chenran, quick-witted, seized the opportunity and spoke eagerly. Mr. Zhang, through in-depth analysis and research of the current project progress and various technical indicators, we can make a relatively accurate prediction. If nothing unexpected happens, construction of our independently developed and manufactured domestically produced aircraft carrier will officially begin within the next 3 years. He carefully adjusted his tone, striving to sound relaxed and confident, hoping that such words would inspire Mr. Zhang. Upon hearing these words, Mr. Zhang's previously dull eyes suddenly seemed to ignite, radiating like the brilliant stars in the deep night sky. Then, a smile as warm and brilliant as the spring sun spread across his weathered face. Before Elder Zhang could respond, Lin Chenran enthusiastically added, Elder Zhang, please don't be satisfied with just seeing one aircraft carrier. You must at least see a powerful formation comprised of 2 aircraft carriers. Such a spectacle would be truly earth-shattering and breathtaking. Once a dual carrier formation is formed, its overall deterrent power will be significantly enhanced. The number of various fighter jets will increase significantly, and so will the number of warships. This will undoubtedly lead to a qualitative leap in the overall combat capability of the entire fleet. A dual carrier formation? For a moment, Elder Zhang was captivated by the image Lin Chenran had sketched. He hadn't expected Lin Chenran to even dream of a dual carrier formation when the Navy didn't even have a single aircraft carrier. Currently, only two superpowers, the United States and Russia, have the capacity to deploy a dual carrier formation. For other countries, forget it, they can dream of anything. For a country, possessing a powerful aircraft carrier formation signifies greater strategic deterrence and operational capability in the maritime domain. And a dual carrier fleet can take deterrence to another level. Lin Chenran then said, "We only have one aircraft carrier fleet, which is far from enough to maintain our vast, and magnificent sea. According to my expectations, at least 3 to 5 aircraft carriers are needed to meet the demand." At this time, Lin Chenran seemed particularly excited and continued to elaborate on the bolder ideas in his heart, especially when building the third aircraft carrier. "I also plan to unite the country's top atomic energy arsenals to work together to build a groundbreaking nuclear-powered aircraft carrier." At this point, his eyes flashed with light, and he was full of expectations for this plan. In today's world, the use of nuclear energy has always been one of the key directions of scientific and technological development in various countries. Yan country has achieved remarkable results in nuclear energy research and has successfully ranked among the world's top in related technical fields. Lin Chenran's proposal to use nuclear energy to drive aircraft carriers is not a fantasy. Hearing this, even the usually calm and experienced Elder Zhang was stunned. "What? Lin, did I hear correctly? You actually said we can use nuclear propulsion on the third aircraft carrier?" Currently, only the United States possesses mature nuclear-powered aircraft carrier technology. Even their big brother, the powerful Russian Bear, still does not have its own nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. At this time, Lin Chenran confidently revealed to Elder Zhang that he planned to use a nuclear propulsion system on the third domestically produced aircraft carrier. This news was like a bombshell, and it instantly left Elder Zhang dumbfounded. "Mr. Zhang, please relax a little," Lin Chenran said with a smile and a firm tone. "It's just a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier." Hearing this, Mr. Zhang was stunned at first, and then he couldn't help but laughed and scolded. "You kid, you are really bragging. Currently, the only country in the world that owns a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier is the United States. They have mastered complete and mature nuclear-powered aircraft carrier technology. Even our former big brother, the Russian Bear, has not successfully developed a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. You are so good. You say you want to develop a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier as soon as you open your mouth. This tone is really big." However, in the face of Mr. Zhang's doubts and criticisms, Lin Chenran did not back down at all. Instead, he responded more confidently, "Mr. Zhang, if a person has no dreams, what is the difference between him and a salted fish? Our country's research on nuclear energy has always been at the world's leading level, and now science and technology are advancing by leaps and bounds. I firmly believe that within 5 years, or even less, we will be able to successfully apply nuclear energy to aircraft carriers." After listening to Lin Chenran's passionate words, a gratified smile appeared on Zhang Leo's face, but at the same time he shook his head and sighed. "I'm afraid that my old bones will not be able to witness the day when the domestically produced nuclear-powered aircraft carrier comes out. But right now, what I'm most eagerly looking forward to in my heart is that the aircraft carrier independently developed by our country can be successfully launched as soon as possible." Zhang Leo did not think too far-reaching. He was only looking forward to the domestically produced large aircraft carrier being able to be launched and put into service safely. "It will definitely be, Zhang Leo. Please wait patiently. When all kinds of warships of the Navy are fully equipped and perfect, we will be able to officially start the design and research and development of aircraft carriers." Although the current military expenditure allocated to the Navy is still distressingly small, however, the 077 mechanical arsenal has set an excellent example for the Yan state military. They bravely go to the world and vigorously promote their own advanced weapons and equipment. Through this proactive approach, the Yan state military has successfully won several considerable orders. When there are sufficient funds, the Yan state military has continuously injected these funds into the major third-line military factories, inspiring them to go all out in research and development. In addition, with the continuous advancement of the domestic reform and opening up policy, the national economy has developed rapidly. At the same time, the army has also implemented large-scale personnel reduction measures. Because of this, the originally extremely scarce military expenditure began to increase to a certain extent. The situation now is no longer as difficult as before, and everyone needs to grit their teeth and tighten their belts to barely get by. Old Zhang changed his tone and asked about the White Shark frigate and the 4 Emperor cruiser. This is another matter he is more concerned about. Not long ago, General Manager Pan reported to me. The White Shark frigate and the 4 Emperor cruiser projects are all going well. Among them, the White Shark frigate will begin construction in 2 weeks. The 4 Emperor's cruiser will take about a month and a half to start construction. Lin Chenran said another good news. The White Shark frigate and the 4 Emperor's cruiser will be included in the Yan Kingdom Navy sequence. That will make the strength of the Yan Kingdom Navy epically enhanced. By then, the Yan Kingdom Navy will be able to defend its own sea borders. Really? That's really good news. I didn't expect the 704 shipyard to be so fast. Upon hearing this, Mr. Zhang hesitated for a moment, and then his face was filled with a bright smile. He knew very well that the inclusion of the White Shark frigates and the 4 Emperor's cruisers in the Yan Kingdom Navy would greatly enhance its strength and be able to deter countries in the surrounding waters. Mr. Zhang asked Lin Chenran for details about the White Shark frigates and the 4 Emperor's cruisers. Lin Chenran also told him all the dry goods he knew. Upon hearing this, Mr. Zhang was very satisfied with the speed of the 704 shipyard. In the previous bidding for frigates, the Yan Kingdom Navy purchased a frigate of 2,000 to 3,000 tons. But that shipyard is still in the process of research and development, and it didn't expect the 704 shipyard to be so fast. The White Shark frigate is ready to start construction. The 4 Emperor's cruiser will also start construction in a month and a half. What a difference. Before hanging up the phone, Mr. Zhang said to Lin Chenran earnestly, "Lin boy, come to a base of our navy in the next few days." This sudden instruction left Lin Chenran feeling confused and bewildered. He wondered to himself why Mr. Zhang had suddenly made such a strange request. Was there some unknown secret or important mission hidden there? No matter how hard Lin Chenran racked his brains, he could not guess the reason. Mr. Zhang seemed to have noticed Lin Chenran's doubts, but he did not intend to reveal more information. He simply explained a few words and hung up the phone in a hurry. Faced with this situation, although Lin Chenran was full of curiosity, as a military worker, obeying orders was his duty. Since his superiors had already issued clear instructions, he naturally would not hesitate or refuse. So, Lin Chenran immediately asked his assistant Xiao Liang to notify Song Xian and ask the latter to come to his office. Not long after, a burst of hurried footsteps came from afar, and Song Xian rushed into the office in a hurry. Because he ran too fast, he was now panting heavily, and a layer of fine beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. "Chenran, why did you call me here in such a hurry? What happened?" Song Xian asked impatiently, while stroking his chest to relieve his breath. "Mr. Song, don't worry, please sit here." Lin Chenran hurriedly stood up to greet him, and personally pulled out a chair for Song Xian. After Song Xian calmed down his breathing a little, Lin Chenran slowly said, "I just received a call from Mr. Zhang. He asked me to go to a certain base of the Navy, but he didn't say the specific reason." Hearing this, Song Xian's brows could not help but frown slightly. He whispered to himself, "He didn't even give me a hint." After thinking for a moment, he raised his head and looked at Lin Chenran and asked softly, "Apart from this, is there anything else?" "No, Mr. Zhang only told us to go to that base and didn't mention anything else." Lin Chenran shook his head helplessly. The two looked at each other and saw deep confusion in each other's eyes. However, they knew in their hearts that, since Mr. Zhang made such an arrangement, there must be a deep meaning behind it. Perhaps after arriving at the naval base, all the mysteries will be revealed naturally. "Mr. Song, please help me take care of the big and small matters in the factory from now on." "No problem, I will follow up on the big and small matters in the factory." Before, when Lin Chenran went out on business trips, it was Song Xian who took over the big and small matters in the factory. Lin Chenran left the 077 Mechanical Military Factory with several personal guards and set foot on a military base of Yan State. Inside the base, he saw a person he respected very much. Lin Chenran immediately stepped forward and greeted him enthusiastically. "Mr. Huang." Chapter 282 Generation Strategic Nuclear Submarine. Lin Chenran arrived at a naval base. Sunlight filtered through the clouds, illuminating the neatly arranged array of ships and the bustling figures within. Just then, a familiar and revered figure caught his eye. Old Huang, the father of Yan Nation's nuclear submarines, stood nearby, intently examining the blueprints for a new submarine. Lin Chenran quickly approached, a warm smile on his face, and spoke in a loud yet polite voice. "Hello, Old Huang. I didn't expect to see you here." He bowed slightly, offering his sincerest respect to this veteran who had made such a significant contribution to the nation. Old Huang, upon hearing the familiar voice, immediately looked up, spotted Lin Chenran, and smiled affably. "Haha, Lin, you're here. Come closer." Old Huang waved to Lin Chenran. Lin Chenran quickly approached Old Huang's side, and looking at the blueprint densely packed with data and lines, a wave of admiration welled up in his heart. He asked softly, "Mr. Huang, why have you come here in person? Is there some important mission that requires your guidance?" Suddenly, as if a thought struck Lin Chenran, he slapped his forehead with a sudden realization, thinking, "Oh, so that's how it is." No wonder Mr. Zhang just gave a few brief instructions on the phone before hastily hanging up. It seems this matter is related to our Yan Nation's nuclear submarines. A flash of enlightenment flashed in his eyes, and he instantly understood the reason. As a vital component of national strategic weapons, the development and manufacturing of nuclear submarines involves numerous core secrets, and every step must be handled with the utmost care. It was for this reason that Mr. Zhang acted so cautiously, fearing even the slightest leak of information. "Indeed, Xianlin, you're very clever." Mr. Huang nodded approvingly and continued, "Nuclear submarines are vital to our country's national defense and security, so the confidentiality of related work is naturally extremely high." His tone was serious and solemn, conveying a sense of the heavy responsibility. Lin Chenran nodded solemnly. Then, Elder Huang changed the subject, his calmness revealing excitement as he said, "Lin, I heard from Elder Zhang that you want the country's third aircraft carrier to be nuclear powered. We haven't even seen a domestically produced aircraft carrier yet." Lin Chenran confidently replied, "Our 704 shipyard has complete aircraft carrier technology. As long as the country has the funds, we can build it. They're just short of funds. And then there are the various warships in the aircraft carrier formation. The Yan Kingdom Navy prioritizes equipping various warships. Aircraft carriers will be added later." Elder Huang, standing by, gave a helpless smile and said, "Military spending has always plagued the development of the Yan Kingdom Navy. There's nothing that can be done about it. The priority is to solve the people's food and clothing problems, and let them get rich first. As for the development of the military, especially the Navy, there's no rush. As long as the Army's combat effectiveness doesn't decline, that's a good thing. The Yan Kingdom military's current thinking is, prioritize the Army's combat effectiveness, then the Air Force, and finally the Navy." "Mr. Huang, the Navy is developing quite well now. At least there is hope. We have some funds to purchase warships. The Yan Kingdom Navy was really poor before. It hadn't added a powerful warship for decades. But now, with the rapid economic development of Yan Kingdom and the sale of various weapons and equipment, the military budget has become slightly more abundant. This has enabled the Yan Kingdom Navy to have funds to purchase a certain number of warships." Then, Lin Chenran asked directly without hesitation, "Mr. Huang, what is the reason why you called me here so hurriedly and urgently this time?" Speaking of nuclear submarines, Lin Chenran also has some understanding, but it can't be said that he is proficient in it. He only has a little knowledge in this area. At this time, Mr. Huang also did not beat around the bush and spoke straightforwardly. "This time I specifically asked Mr. Zhang to notify you to come. The purpose is very clear. That is, I want to discuss with you the relevant matters concerning nuclear submarines." Mr. Huang paused, then explained with a serious expression, "Nowadays, the situation in the international community has become increasingly turbulent and unpredictable, and the performance of the first-generation nuclear submarines we have in our hands can no longer meet the Navy's growing actual needs. After careful consideration, we decided to immediately launch the plan to prepare and carry out the design work of a new generation of nuclear submarines, so as to better adapt to the ever-changing situation and the urgent needs of the Navy." Hearing this, Lin Chenran's face instantly showed an extremely shocked expression, and his eyes stared straight at Mr. Huang, as if saying, "Are you serious?" After a long while, he came to his senses, his body trembling slightly, and stammered, "Mr. Huang, you must be kidding me, right? To be honest, when it comes to the design and development of nuclear submarines, I can say that I know 6 out of 7 things. I know nothing." Old Huang interrupted Lin Chenran's speech directly. "I know your strength, don't hide it from me." Lin Chenran's strength is obvious to all, so Old Huang asked Navy officer Zhang to notify him to come to this naval base. Huh? Old Huang, aren't you forcing me to do something? In other aspects, I can still give some advice, but nuclear submarines really involve my blind spot in knowledge. Lin Chenran waved his hands helplessly and shook his head. "No, I have to catch you up." Then, Old Huang took Lin Chenran through many checkpoints with steady steps and arrived at the inconspicuous design building of the base. After the two entered the building, Old Huang led Lin Chenran to his office on the top floor with ease. Entering the office, Old Huang walked to the desk piled with various documents and drawings, bent down and carefully took out a document from the drawer. When Mr. Huang handed it to Lin Chenran, he saw clearly that it was printed with the words Yan country's second generation nuclear submarine design diagram in large letters. Seeing these words, Lin Chenran couldn't help but gasp. "Mr. Huang, is this something I can see? Nuclear submarines are an important part of a country's national defense. They are related to the security and stability of the entire country." Lin Chenran was well aware of the importance of this. He really didn't dare to easily touch such highly confidential information for fear of causing himself unnecessary trouble. However, Mr. Huang nodded with a smile. "You can see it. Before this, I have already consulted with my superiors and received approval." As he said this, Mr. Huang gestured to Lin Chenran, indicating that he should carefully examine the schematic diagram of Yan country's second generation nuclear submarine in his hand. Hearing this, although Lin Chenran still had concerns in his heart, he could only sigh helplessly. Since his superiors had agreed, he had no choice but to bite the bullet and continue to read. From a preliminary inspection of the schematic, Lin Chenran discovered that the second generation strategic nuclear submarine was a major upgrade based on the first generation Type 091 strategic nuclear submarine. To enable this new submarine to carry more advanced ballistic missiles, the designers of the second generation strategic nuclear submarine underwent a drastic overhaul of the existing hull, significantly enlarging and lengthening it. This operation was like a complete surgical operation, resulting in a dramatic change in the submarine's overall appearance. The once fluent and natural lines now appeared unwieldy due to the excess of enlargement and length. Like a turtle carrying an immensely heavy shell, it struggled to move through the water. However, the negative effects of this transformation were not negligible. Due to its increased size and length, the submarine generated significantly more noise when moving underwater. These noises, like countless noisy mosquitoes, fluttered recklessly in the silent underwater world, greatly disrupting the submarine's inherent tranquility and significantly increasing the risk of detection by enemy sonar systems. Lin Chenran, who stood quietly watching, frowned, his face solemn. Elder Huang, who had been observing Lin Chenran's changing expressions, was filled with curiosity. Finally, unable to contain his silence, he spoke. "Lin, what do you think of this plan? Tell me about it." Elder Huang then pressed, "Take a closer look and see if there are any changes or adjustments that need to be made." Lin Chenran's heart was in turmoil, anxiety and uneasiness surging. In his eyes, the design and development plan for this second generation strategic nuclear submarine was riddled with problems and completely substandard. However, the person standing before him was the highly respected and experienced Mr. Huang. He really didn't dare to easily reveal even the slightest dissatisfaction or disdain. This really made Lin Chenran in a dilemma, not knowing what to do. For a moment, Lin Chenran fell into extreme entanglement, and even a layer of fine beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. Mr. Huang, who had been observing Lin Chenran's words and expressions, naturally keenly captured the fluctuations and changes in Lin Chenran's emotions. Mr. Huang slowly stretched out his hand and gently patted Lin Chenran on the shoulder. With a kind smile on his face, he comforted and encouraged, "Lin boy, don't be so nervous. Just say whatever you think. Are you afraid that an old man like me will be unreasonable? Don't worry, I'm not the kind of stubborn old man who is stubborn and refuses to be persuaded. Hearing what Mr. Huang said, Lin Chenran breathed a sigh of relief, but he was still a little nervous. He asked cautiously in a slightly tentative tone, then I'll tell you, Mr. Huang, you won't be angry, right? Mr. Huang laughed heartily and replied, haha, of course not. Just speak boldly, I'm listening carefully. As he spoke, Mr. Huang picked up a thick notebook from the table, opened a new page, and prepared to record Lin Chenran's opinions and views in detail. The first point to talk about is the exterior design. Why do I feel that it is so similar to the 091 strategic nuclear submarine? The more I look at it, it's like the latter was stretched and widened. With this doubt in mind, he finally decided to raise it to Mr. Huang carefully. Huang smiled, nodded calmly, and conceded, haha, you've got a keen eye. Yes, this second generation strategic nuclear submarine is indeed designed and developed based on the Type 091. Hearing Huang's confirmation, Lin Chenran's doubts, far from being dispelled, only deepened. Frowning, he asked worriedly, Mr. Huang, didn't you and your team consider the significant flaws of this design? This design would likely make the second generation strategic nuclear submarine too bulky. Once deployed, it would inevitably generate uncontrollable noise levels. He paused, then added, we can't afford to ignore noise levels just to accommodate ballistic missiles. For a strategic nuclear submarine, maintaining silence and stealth is paramount. Only then can it truly become a cold-blooded killer lurking in the deep sea, successfully piercing enemy lines without their knowledge and delivering a devastating blow. But now the underwater noise has increased suddenly. As soon as it starts moving, it will probably be detected by the enemy's advanced sonar system and then attacked fiercely. The consequences will be disastrous. Lin Chenran obviously disagreed with the design and development plan of the second generation strategic nuclear submarine by Mr. Huang and others. Upon hearing this, Mr. Huang frowned. He and the nuclear submarine design and development team really didn't pay attention to this aspect before. In order to increase the combat effectiveness of the second generation strategic nuclear submarine, the launch area for submarine launched ballistic missiles was specially increased. But after Lin Chenran's reminder, he suddenly realized, in order to increase the launch area for submarine launched ballistic missiles, the second generation strategic nuclear submarine has become very bloated. Is such a strategic nuclear submarine still a strategic nuclear submarine? Or is it still a deep sea killer? It definitely can't be a strategic nuclear submarine. It's definitely not a deep sea killer. This is indeed a big problem. We really didn't notice it before. I was right to ask Mr. Zhang to ask you to come and participate in the research and development of nuclear submarines. Mr. Huang praised Lin Chenran and wrote down his thoughts. They really didn't think about this aspect before. Mr. Huang, have you noticed that the speed of the second generation strategic nuclear submarines has actually decreased after their size has increased? The power output system on the Type 091 strategic nuclear submarine simply cannot meet the requirements of a second generation strategic nuclear submarine. According to the design drawings, they haven't made any changes to the power output system, reverting to the original Type 091 strategic nuclear submarine. This simply cannot meet the requirements. After all, the size has increased, and if the original power output system is used, the speed will definitely be much slower. Is this a qualified strategic nuclear submarine? Definitely not. Chapter 281. A strategic nuclear submarine with a speed of only 235 knots. This speed drop is too drastic. Compared to the speed of the Type 091 strategic nuclear submarine, it dropped several knots. For a submarine, even a single knot change in speed can have a significant impact, let alone such a drastic drop. The Type 091 strategic nuclear submarine already had a significant speed gap compared to the strategic nuclear submarines of several other major foreign powers. Now experiencing such a severe speed drop, its performance disadvantage was undoubtedly further magnified. Lin Chenran shook his head helplessly, sighing inwardly. Previously, Mr. Huang had not fully appreciated the chain reaction and potential threats posed by the speed drop. However, after Lin Chenran's detailed and in-depth analysis and reminders, Mr. Huang finally began to realize the severity of the problem. If this problem was not resolved promptly, it would not only affect the submarine's combat effectiveness, but could even have catastrophic consequences for the entire mission at a critical moment. The second-generation strategic nuclear submarine surprisingly used the same power output system as the Type 091 strategic nuclear submarine. Both were equipped with the same domestically produced hydraulic reactor and used a single shaft, single propeller drive system. This hydraulic reactor is already outdated compared to advanced hydraulic reactors in other countries, especially similar products from countries like Russia and the US. The gap is huge. It can be said that there is a world of difference. The strategic nuclear submarines of the US and Russia can easily reach a speed of 30 knots. However, the Type 091 strategic nuclear submarine of Yan State can only reach 25 knots. The second-generation strategic nuclear submarine can reach 23.5 knots. Is it going backwards? Faced with such a difficult situation, Lin Chenran thought for a moment and asked Mr. Huang a key question. Mr. Huang, do you think there is a feasible plan to upgrade our existing hydraulic reactor? If its performance can be successfully improved, perhaps the speed problem faced by the second-generation strategic nuclear submarines can be resolved from the root. Lin Chenran said slowly in a very calm tone. Mr. Huang, who was standing aside, had a solemn expression on his face and shook his head slightly. In reality, deep down, Mr. Huang also longed to see the power output system of the second-generation strategic nuclear submarine effectively upgraded and improved. However, given Yan Nation's current military capabilities, this was clearly an unattainable goal. At this moment, Lin Chenran suddenly smiled and said, Mr. Huang, let's not jump to conclusions so quickly. One person's shortcomings are often overlooked, but many others can see the long side. I want to gain a deeper understanding of the design principles and related technical structures of our country's independently developed pressurized reactor. Lin Chenran looked at Mr. Huang with anticipation. Mr. Huang's entire body froze for a moment, then he sank into deep thought. Time ticked by, and after a long moment, Mr. Huang finally sighed deeply. He then looked up at Lin Chenran, a hint of admiration in his eyes, and said, "You're truly courageous and bold." With that, Mr. Huang turned and walked back to the safe, expertly entering the combination and opening it. This time, he carefully removed a document. The document exuded a mysterious aura. It was none other than the schematic design of Yan's independently developed domestically produced hydraulic reactor, seemingly carrying the painstaking efforts and hopes of countless researchers. The schematic design resembled a window into an unknown realm, its contents revealed like a galaxy of information. Though numerous, yet arranged in an orderly fashion, it was enough for Lin Chenran to gain a general understanding of the domestically produced hydraulic reactor. Lin Chenran took the schematic design from Elder Huang's hands. His eyes were instantly captivated, as if drawn to a magnet, unable to move away. After receiving the schematic, Lin Chenran wasted no time in examining it carefully. His gaze was focused and sharp, not missing a single detail. As he read further, his brows, once relaxed, gradually furrowed, like a volcano about to erupt, suppressing the surging emotions within. His heart grew heavier, as if a huge rock were pressing down on his chest, making it nearly impossible to breathe. Lin Chenran couldn't help but think to himself, this is so backward. Although he had prepared himself mentally before this, knowing that there was a gap between China's domestically produced pressurized water reactors and the internationally advanced level, the reality before him was still far beyond his imagination. This huge gap made him feel helpless. While Lin Chenran was concentrating on studying the design schematics, Mr. Huang, standing beside him, silently watched every subtle change in his expression. When he saw Lin Chenran's frown, Mr. Huang's heart suddenly skipped, and a sense of foreboding came over him. Time passed minute by minute, and finally, Lin Chenran slowly put down the heavy design schematics of the domestically produced pressurized water reactor in his hand. Seeing this, Mr. Huang couldn't wait to ask, "How is it?" There was a hint of urgency in his voice, as if he wanted to get a definitive answer from Lin Chenran. Lin Chenran sighed and shook his head. "Mr. Huang, the design of this domestically produced pressurized water reactor is too old. After upgrading and renovation, there won't be a significant performance improvement. This was mainly because the design and development of domestically produced pressurized water reactors were too backward. That. Upon hearing this, Mr. Huang frowned. Although the renovation and upgrade of domestically produced pressurized water reactors haven't significantly improved performance, I have two options for you to choose from that can increase the speed of second generation strategic nuclear submarines. Upon hearing this, Mr. Huang's eyes gleamed with gold. Really? Really? Lin Chenran nodded. He then outlined his two major plans. The first one would solve the problem from the root. That would be to redesign a pressurized water reactor to replace the old one. This would become the power output system for the second generation strategic nuclear submarine. It would be quite difficult, but Lin Chenran was quite confident. Can you, the 077 machinery and military factory, redesign and develop a hydraulic reactor? Or perhaps we could jointly develop one? Elder Huang glanced at Lin Chenran, hoping to get the answer he wanted. Although we at the 077 machinery and military factory haven't designed or developed a hydraulic reactor, we can provide you with the specialized composite materials you need. When it comes to specialized composite materials, the 077 machinery and military factory is far ahead, even surpassing foreign countries in some aspects. Elder Huang smiled upon hearing this. Chapter 282 Jointly developing a new hydraulic reactor. If the 077 mechanical arsenal is willing to lend a hand and supply them with the extremely special composite materials needed for the hydraulic reactor, then they will have a great chance of successfully developing a brand new hydraulic reactor. That's fantastic. Upon hearing this news, Mr. Huang's weathered face instantly broke into a smile as bright as the warm spring sun, his joy evident in his words. Mr. Huang, this joint research and development will rely on your personal leadership, and I hope the military can allocate some special research and development funds. Otherwise, it will be a real dilemma for us at the 077 mechanical arsenal. Lin Chenran warned Mr. Huang in advance, in case the Yan state military endlessly freeloaded on their 077 mechanical arsenal. Huang Leo pondered for a moment, then nodded without hesitation. Absolutely no problem. As long as we can design a new type of pressurized water reactor, I firmly believe the military will willingly provide the research and development funds. Seeing Huang Leo agree so readily, Lin Chenran's heart finally settled a little, and he breathed a sigh of relief. In the past, he had always been taken advantage of by the Yan Kingdom military. This made him terrified and anxious every time. After calming down a little, Lin Chenran took a deep breath and then began to explain the second plan slowly and clearly. His voice was steady and powerful. We can maintain the existing domestically produced pressurized water reactors without any modifications and install an additional one on the second generation strategic nuclear submarines. Huang Leo was startled by Lin Chenran's idea, but then he thought it was a good idea. Huang Leo couldn't help but mutter to himself, adding another domestically produced pressurized water reactor? Is this feasible? Huang Leo quickly calmed down and carefully considered the feasibility of this plan. After thinking for a while, Mr. Huang's eyes suddenly lit up, and he thought to himself, the power system used by many warships nowadays does not have only one engine, but multiple engines are linked together to provide powerful power support. These warships have at least 4 engines. The second generation strategic nuclear submarine currently under development is significantly larger than the Type 091 strategic nuclear submarine. Besides the need to reserve sufficient space for the installation of a ballistic missile launch area, there's actually some remaining space available. Thinking of this, it seems reasonable to add another domestically produced hydraulic reactor to the existing system. At this thought, a smile of immense relief slowly blossomed across old Huang's weathered face. He nodded slightly, casting a look of approval and admiration at Lin Chenran before him, expressing his strong agreement with his idea. The power output system of the second generation strategic nuclear submarine has undergone a dramatic transformation. The original single domestically produced hydraulic reactor has been replaced with 2, tightly connected in parallel, like 2 powerful hearts, continuously supplying this steel behemoth with surging power. Realizing that the power provided by a single domestically produced hydraulic reactor was insufficient, they decisively opted to increase the number. If 2 weren't enough, They would continue to add until the demand was met. Lin boy, why didn't I think of that before? Old Huang couldn't help but sigh, his words full of admiration for Lin Chenran's wisdom. Then, he patted Lin Chenran on the shoulder with joy and said, "It's so wise and right to call you here this time." After successfully solving the long-standing problem of slow speed, Old Huang's mood instantly became particularly comfortable. In response to Old Huang's praise, Lin Chenran was humble and polite, and responded, "Mr. Huang, you are too kind. You just didn't react for a while before. When you come to your senses, even if no one reminds you, you will definitely make the same decision. As the saying goes, those who participate in the game are confused, and those who watch can see clearly." Old Huang laughed when he heard this. "You boy, you really know how to make an old man like me happy." Then Lin Chenran and the other person had an in-depth discussion about nuclear submarines, sometimes exchanging opinions and sometimes falling into deep thought. Unconsciously, the originally slightly unfamiliar atmosphere gradually became harmonious, and the distance between each other was shortened a lot. After having an idea to solve the power problem of the second-generation strategic nuclear submarine, Lin Chenran and the other person immediately plunged into the discussion of the all-round modification and upgrade of this nuclear submarine. In the following days, the whole team worked together day and night. Every detail was repeatedly considered and carefully polished. Finally, after 10 days of unremitting efforts, a brand new second-generation strategic nuclear submarine design and development schematic emerged. This schematic embodies the wisdom and hard work of countless people and carries everyone's expectations for future maritime power. As soon as the news came out, it immediately attracted the attention of the top naval officials of Yan State. They quickly sent representatives to participate in this crucial discussion on the second-generation strategic nuclear submarine. That morning, the sun shone through the window into a spacious and bright conference room, making everything exceptionally clear. Lin Chenran walked into the conference room with a smile on his face, chatting and laughing with Mr. Huang. As soon as they entered the room, they saw the senior naval officials of Yan State who had been waiting here for a long time. Lin Chenran strode forward and greeted the leaders enthusiastically. "Hello, leaders." His voice was loud and his eyes were full of respect. Then, he turned to one of the respected elders, Mr. Zhang, and said respectfully, "Mr. Zhang." "Hello." In response to Lin Chenran's greeting, Mr. Zhang patted him on the shoulder gently and said in a gentle tone, "Lin boy, you have worked hard during this period." Hearing this, Lin Chenran hurriedly smiled and shook his head and replied humbly, "How can it be said that serving the military is hard? And here, I have learned a lot of valuable knowledge about nuclear submarines from Mr. Huang and everyone. I have gained a lot and feel very fulfilled." And Mr. Huang on the side interrupted Lin Chenran and praised, "Dear leaders, thank you very much for sending Lin Kid here to assist us in the design and development of the second-generation strategic nuclear submarine. This time, he put in the greatest effort on the second-generation strategic nuclear submarine." Lin Chenran scratched his head. "No, just a little effort. You kid, are you being humble at this time? It's not like your character," Mr. Zhang said jokingly. Suddenly, bursts of laughter rang out in the conference room. After the joke, the atmosphere in the entire conference room changed dramatically. Mr. Huang struck while the iron was hot and directly took out the design sketch of the second-generation strategic nuclear submarine for everyone to browse. Hiss. This. Chapter 283. The second-generation strategic nuclear submarine demonstrates its killer nature. In a spacious bright conference room, a group of senior Yan Nation naval leaders gathered, their gaze fixed on a projection screen displaying a schematic design for the new second-generation strategic nuclear submarine. Each one's eyes sparkled with excitement and anticipation, a glow like a golden flame, blazing brightly. These battle-hardened officers, like children encountering their beloved toys for the first time, their eyes filled with boundless joy and curiosity. It was as if they were admiring a unique work of art, their apt expressions moving. Time ticked by, yet those present were oblivious to the passing of time. They were completely engrossed in the wondrous design, unable to extricate themselves. Finally, after a long pause, Elder Zhang, seated at the head of the table, broke the silence. He turned slightly to Elder Huang, who sat beside him, and said with a smile, "Old Huang, Could you please explain the design and principles behind the second generation strategic nuclear submarine in detail? Upon hearing this, Elder Huang immediately stood up, cleared his throat, and began to narrate the entire process. This second generation strategic nuclear submarine is the culmination of immense effort and ingenuity. It was a masterpiece completed by Lin Chenran and Huang Leo's professional nuclear submarine design team after 10 days of tireless work. The most striking feature of this new design is the transformation of the tortoise shell above the vessel. Through ingenious design and sophisticated technical means, the tortoise shell has been successfully slimmed down. The once obtrusive tortoise shell has now disappeared without a trace. However, surprisingly, the crucial ballistic missile launch area has been completely preserved. Furthermore, this revamped second-generation strategic nuclear submarine has undergone a significant transformation in appearance. The entire vessel has become more streamlined and slender, transforming its previous bulky and unwieldy appearance. This change has the direct benefit of significantly reducing the noise generated by the submarine while underwater. This new generation of strategic nuclear submarines has perfectly fulfilled its essential role as underwater killers. Like a ghost lurking in the deep sea, it will silently glimpse through the waves and deliver a devastating blow to the enemy. Then, Mr. Huang cleared his throat and began detailing the key parameters of this impressive second-generation strategic nuclear submarine. First, its surface displacement is approximately 6,500 tons. This represents a significant increase compared to the first-generation submarine. Submerged, its displacement reaches a staggering 8,000 tons. The submarine's length and width 120.7 meters long and 10.2 meters wide also boast a draft of 8 meters, ensuring its stability. Regarding its power system, this new strategic nuclear submarine utilizes 2 domestically produced pressurized reactors as its core propulsion system. With the subsequent development of domestically produced second-generation pressurized reactors, second-generation strategic nuclear submarines could utilize only one. This powerful powertrain allows the submarine to achieve incredible speeds underwater. Preliminary estimates suggest a maximum speed of 30 knots or even higher. The second-generation strategic nuclear submarine boasts exceptional diving capabilities, reaching a maximum depth of 300 meters. Mr. Huang reeled off a torrent of advanced technical specifications, and the Yan Kingdom's senior naval leaders present listened intently. They nodded in agreement, exchanged whispers, their eyes etched with barely concealed excitement and anticipation. As Mr. Huang concluded his presentation, a brief silence descended upon the conference room, quickly broken by enthusiastic applause. This second-generation strategic nuclear submarine boasts exceptionally advanced basic specifications, perfectly meeting the Yan Kingdom's naval needs. Compared to the previous generation Type 091 strategic nuclear submarine, this new submarine represents a significant leap forward. Significant breakthroughs have been made in size, power output, and underwater quietness. This progress was particularly gratifying for Mr. Zhang, who had closely monitored the development of the second-generation strategic nuclear submarine. Mr. Zhang was not entirely satisfied with the initial design for the second-generation strategic nuclear submarine. Primarily, the resulting submarine's combat effectiveness was only marginally superior to the Type 091, as it lacked the capability to launch ballistic missiles. However, quietness was compromised, and underwater noise increased significantly. The final product, now before his eyes, far exceeded his expectations. Elder Zhang's face beamed with joy, and he nodded in praise. Excellent, truly excellent. This second-generation strategic nuclear submarine is practically tailor-made for our Navy, perfectly meeting our operational requirements. Elder Huang modestly replied, "This is all thanks to the hard work of Lin and the design and development team. Otherwise, the design of this second-generation strategic nuclear submarine wouldn't be as perfect." Elder Zhang waved his hand, interrupting, "Everyone deserves credit. Thank you for your dedication to the Navy. Everyone deserved credit. The design and development of such an excellent strategic nuclear submarine was inseparable from the collective effort. Elder Zhang, we need to redesign and develop a new hydraulic reactor, and the 077 machinery arsenal will provide the special composite materials, but..." Elder Huang hesitated, speaking softly. Developing a new hydraulic reactor would undoubtedly require a substantial investment. Elder Huang's move was intended to get the Yan Kingdom Navy to pay the bill. Old Zhang turned and glanced at Lin Chenran, grinning and cursing. "It must be you, kid." Lin Chenran scratched his head, but didn't deny it. "Old Zhang, if we want a more advanced and quieter nuclear submarine, we definitely need a new type of pressurized reactor. The underwater noise level of the Type 091 strategic nuclear submarine reaches 135 decibels. The enemy's anti-submarine sonar would instantly detect our nuclear submarine." Lin Chenran spoke frankly. The Type 091 strategic nuclear submarines in the hands of the Yan Kingdom Navy were truly remarkably noisy underwater. Even louder than ocean noise, the enemy's sonar would instantly detect their presence. You still want to be an underwater killer? You still want to be a ghost lurking in the deep sea, silently gliding through the waves, delivering a fatal blow? Dream on. Old Zhang smiled brightly upon seeing the superior performance and strength of this great power weapon, the new generation of strategic nuclear submarines. Our Navy has allocated funds for the research and development of a new type of pressurized reactor. Lin Chenran breathed a sigh of relief upon hearing this. He had been most alarmed by the Yan Kingdom's freeloaders of the Navy. Now, however, the weight of his heart slowly lifted. Old Zhang knew that every freeloader would trigger a rebellious spirit in a military-industrial complex. Therefore, he wouldn't resort to such tactics unless absolutely necessary. With the Yan Kingdom's rapidly growing economy and the increasing number of heavy smokers, military spending had increased. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 284, Second Generation Strategic Nuclear Submarine. Where are my ballistic missiles? With the continuous increase in Yan's military expenditure, it means that there is no need to get something for free as in the past. At this time, Zhang Liao looked at Lin Chenran with a serious expression and said, "Lin boy, this new type of hydraulic reactor is closely related to our new strategic nuclear submarine. The importance of this is self-evident. I hope you can spend more time on this matter and pay attention to it." After that, Zhang Liao's tone changed slightly, and his words revealed a sincere request. He knew that Lin Chenran possessed extraordinary abilities and talents. Hearing Zhang Liao's words, Lin Chenran nodded without hesitation and said, "No problem, Zhang Liao, please rest assured, I will do my best to do this well." Then, he added confidently, "Don't worry, our 077 mechanical arsenal is at the world's leading level in the field of special composite materials. I believe we can find that kind of special composite material suitable for hydraulic reactors." Lin Chenran is still very confident in his own 077 mechanical arsenal. Seeing Lin Chenran's determined and confident expression, the senior leaders of the Yan Kingdom Navy present nodded in agreement. The 077 machinery arsenal's achievements in specialized composite materials are undeniable, their technological level far surpassing other countries and reaching world-class standards. Elder Zhang then narrowed his eyes slightly, blinked rapidly at Elder Huang, and nodded gently, signaling him to continue explaining the design and development plan for the second generation strategic nuclear submarine. After receiving Elder Zhang's instructions, Elder Huang first took a sip of tea from the table to moisten his throat, then cleared his throat, and continued his eloquent explanation of the design and development plan for their second generation strategic nuclear submarine. This second generation strategic nuclear submarine was fully armed, equipped with a dazzling array of advanced weaponry. The most prominent and eye-catching of these were the 6 533mm caliber torpedo tubes. Like the sharp fangs of a steel behemoth, these massive tubes lay dormant within the submarine's hull, ready to deliver a fatal blow. They are capable of launching high-performance U-3 torpedoes. These torpedoes are fast, powerful, and highly accurate. Once locked onto a target, they dash like an arrow, making it difficult for the enemy to escape. Compared to the previous Type 091 strategic nuclear submarine, the second generation strategic nuclear submarine has achieved a significant breakthrough in terms of internal space. The use of more advanced cabin layout and structural design has significantly increased the available space within the submarine. the number of torpedoes they carry has been significantly increased, allowing them to easily carry up to 14 U-3 heavyweight torpedoes. In addition to their powerful torpedo strike capability, the second-generation strategic nuclear submarines also possess another impressive weapon. 12 ballistic missile launchers. Each launcher is like a small mobile rocket base, firmly positioned within the submarine's hull. Each launcher is equipped with a world-shaking dual-lang ballistic missile. This missile, with its ultra-long range, high accuracy, and immense destructive power, is a national treasure. Furthermore, the dual-lang ballistic missile can be used in conjunction with nuclear missiles. Just as Mr. Huang was speaking enthusiastically, Mr. Zhang, who had been listening intently, suddenly raised his right hand. Seeing this gesture, Mr. Huang immediately understood and paused his explanation. The entire conference room fell silent, and everyone's eyes were fixed on Mr. Zhang. Engineer Huang, I'd like to ask about the current development progress of our own dual-lang ballistic missile. Mr. Zhang's voice was quiet, but it was filled with concern. He was deeply concerned about the development of this crucial weapon, which was crucial to national defense and security. This. Mr. Huang hesitated, but ultimately shook his head, a look of frustration and embarrassment on his face. The second-generation strategic nuclear submarines were highly anticipated by the senior leaders of the Yan Kingdom Navy. However, the development of the dual-lang ballistic missiles to accompany them was progressing very slowly. As things stood, even if the second-generation strategic nuclear submarines could be successfully built, there would be no sign of a mature version of the dual-lang ballistic missile, and let alone the two being able to work together and operate in tandem. At this moment, the Yan Kingdom's senior naval officials present also noticed the change in Elder Huang's expression. They all turned their gazes to him, and when they understood the reason, their faces suddenly darkened. In fact, as early as 1985, Yan Kingdom had conducted a test of the dual-lang ballistic missile. However, the results of that test were extremely disappointing. The highly anticipated dual-lang ballistic missile unexpectedly lost control the moment it emerged from the water. Immediately thereafter, with a loud bang, the entire missile disintegrated into a ball of fire in mid-air and exploded. The Yan Kingdom Navy provided all-round support for the development of the dual-lang ballistic missile. They provided personnel, materials, and even provided as much funding as they could. However, the development of the dual-lang ballistic missile was not without its bumps and setbacks. It was extremely difficult. The final results presented to everyone were still unsatisfactory. Elder Zhang turned and glanced at Lin Chenran beside him, as if a thought had occurred to him. Suddenly, Lin Chenran, who was standing aside, felt as if he was being stared at by a top hunter. He trembled unconsciously. Then, he saw that old Zhang was staring at him intentionally or unintentionally. Lin Chenran thought to himself, no wonder I was trembling unconsciously. It turned out that I was being stared by old Zhang. This. Lin Chenran sighed deeply. Old Zhang, you won't. Old Zhang smiled meaningfully. That's right. I want the dual-lang ballistic missile design and development team to be incorporated into your 077 mechanical arsenal. And let the Cheyenne-Su automatic tracking rocket launchers research and development team lead them to improve the dual-lang ballistic missile so that it can be quickly formed and used in conjunction with the second-generation strategic nuclear submarines. Lin Chenran showed an incredible look on his face. This. Old Zhang, are you serious? Let the dual-lang ballistic missile design team be incorporated into our 077 mechanical arsenal? And old Zhang nodded seriously. Upon hearing this, the other senior leaders of the Yan Kingdom Navy all thought that old Zhang's idea was very feasible. The 077 mechanical arsenal's research on ballistic missiles is at the world's top level. In particular, the Cheyenne-Su automatic tracking rocket launcher equipped on the Aegis missile destroyer has made the Yan Kingdom Navy love it. Lin Chenran smiled bitterly when he heard this. He was not averse to his own 077 mechanical arsenal taking over the dual-lang ballistic missile design team. This can greatly enhance the foundation of the 077 mechanical arsenal. But, seeing Lin Chenran's tangled face, Mr. Zhang said directly, the research and development funds for the dual-lang ballistic missile will be provided by our Navy. Lin Chenran seemed to hear the sound of nature. Chapter 285. The dual-lang ballistic missile design team was incorporated into the 077 machinery arsenal. Lin Chenran had been waiting for this critical moment. The Yan Kingdom Navy had to bear the cost of designing and developing the Jelang ballistic missile. Developing a ballistic missile capable of carrying nuclear warheads and being launched from a strategic nuclear submarine is no easy task. The technical difficulty is staggering. Because of this, despite the fact that the Jelang ballistic missile design team has worked hard for many years, they have never been able to produce a mature ballistic missile. In a test conducted not long ago in 1985, the highly anticipated Jelang ballistic missile lost control the moment it emerged from the water, causing a violent explosion. Standing by, old Zhang witnessed the smile gradually appearing on Lin Chenran's face and immediately understood his intention. So, Zhang Liao couldn't help but laugh and scolded angrily, "Good boy, you have been waiting here for me to say in person that our navy will bear the research and development costs of the Jelang ballistic missile." Facing Zhang Liao's scolding, Lin Chenran seemed a little aggrieved. He quickly responded, "Zhang Liao, your navy can't just take advantage of us for free. If the research and development costs are paid early, the price of the Jelang ballistic missile will drop a lot in the later stage." Zhang Liao is familiar with this aspect, but he is still angry. He was calculated by Lin Chenran. "Lin boy, since our navy has paid for the design cost of the Jelang ballistic missile, I hope that your 077 mechanical arsenal will design and develop it as soon as possible. We can't wait too long. You know, once the design and development plan of the second generation strategic nuclear submarine is determined, we will do our best to develop it. Don't let the second generation strategic nuclear submarine come out by then, and the Jelang ballistic missile used with it won't even have a mature sample." Zhang Liao placed the heavy responsibility of developing the Jelang ballistic missile on the shoulders of the 077 mechanical arsenal. "No problem. Our 077 machinery and arsenal will do its best to develop the JL ballistic missile." Lin Chenran nodded. The Yan nation's senior naval leaders present also agreed with Elder Zhang's approach. The JL ballistic missile design team was assigned to the 077 machinery and arsenal. As for the opinions of the JL ballistic missile design team members, important, not important. The senior naval leaders believed that the 077 machinery and arsenal would handle the relationship well. Elder Huang then proceeded to explain the design of the second generation strategic nuclear submarine. This second generation strategic nuclear submarine was equipped with the most advanced electronic systems. A surface search radar and radar warning system were included. The sonar system consisted of a medium frequency active and passive search and attack hull sonar. Furthermore, the second generation strategic nuclear submarine was equipped with two 915 2B inertial navigation systems and their accompanying 816 Starlight navigation instruments for missile guidance. After Elder Huang's eloquent explanation, which lasted over 2 hours, everyone finally had a clearer and more thorough understanding of this second generation strategic nuclear submarine. This brand new second generation strategic nuclear submarine is practically tailor-made for the Yan Navy. It not only fully considers the complex missions and challenges currently facing the Yan Navy, but also closely aligns with the practical demands of modern naval warfare. From its advanced propulsion system to its powerful weaponry, from its efficient communications and command capabilities to its exceptional stealth capabilities, every detail exemplifies its exceptional excellence. This is a truly exceptional strategic nuclear submarine. The Yan Navy's senior leaders are eager to see this second generation strategic nuclear submarine move from the drawing board to reality and swiftly deliver it to them for operational use. The Yan Navy's current Type 091 strategic nuclear submarines, due to their age and relatively backward technology, have significantly diminished their deterrent power. Faced with an increasingly challenging and rapidly changing international landscape, they are struggling to meet their demands. Old Huang, after repeated and detailed discussions and deliberations within our Navy, we have finally reached a final conclusion on the design of a second generation strategic nuclear submarine. At this point, Elder Zhang paused, intentionally or unintentionally offering a hint of suspense. At this moment, Elder Huang, standing nearby, felt a fluttering feeling in his heart, like a fluttering little rabbit. After all, this was the product of his team's tireless efforts. day and night, and he sincerely hoped that his meticulously crafted second-generation strategic nuclear submarine would be highly recognized by the Yan Kingdom Navy. This would allow him to proceed with the subsequent critical tasks in an orderly manner. Elder Zhang gazed at the crowd with a piercing gaze, a smile of satisfaction crossing his weathered face. Then, in a steady and powerful voice, he announced, after comprehensive, multifaceted, and in-depth evaluation and analysis, we have concluded that this second-generation strategic nuclear submarine fully meets the practical needs of the Yan Kingdom Navy, both now and in the long term. Therefore, I hereby solemnly declare that further in-depth, comprehensive, and systematic research and development can commence. As soon as he finished speaking, the entire conference room erupted in thunderous cheers, as if instantly ignited. The engineers who had been working on the front lines, pouring in countless blood, sweat, and tears for this new strategic nuclear submarine, could no longer contain their excitement. They stood up, hugged each other, and high-fived to celebrate this historic moment. To successfully develop this groundbreaking second-generation strategic nuclear submarine, these engineers endured countless sleepless nights and endured countless failures and setbacks. But they never gave up. With tenacious perseverance and superb skills, they made steady progress, one step at a time. Now, the fruits of their labor have finally been highly recognized by the top leadership of the Yan Kingdom Navy. This has been officially established and will continue the development process. How could this not be inspiring? Mr. Huang, standing nearby, smiled brightly. The second-generation strategic nuclear submarine designed and developed by his team had been recognized by the top leadership of the Yan Kingdom Navy. As the chief designer of the second-generation strategic nuclear submarine, Mr. Huang stepped forward to express his gratitude. Thank you to the naval leaders for their recognition of our second-generation strategic nuclear submarine. Thank you Chenran for your contribution, and thank you to everyone in the team for your hard work. Suddenly, thunderous applause rang out in the conference room. Since the design and development plan of the second-generation strategic nuclear submarine has been approved by the Yan Kingdom Navy, Lin Chenran's task has been completed for the most part. Then Lin Chenran said goodbye to Mr. Huang and the engineers of the second-generation strategic nuclear submarine team. He was going back to the 077 machinery arsenal to prepare to receive the Zhejiang ballistic missile design and development team. This is another relatively large project. 3 days passed in a flash. The person in charge of the Zhejiang ballistic missile design and development team came to the 077 machinery arsenal. As the director of the 077 machinery arsenal, Lin Chenran came to the complex building to greet him. Chapter 286, Giant Wave Ballistic Missile. 077 Mechanical Arsenal Complex stood majestically, the sunlight streaming down its exterior walls, reflecting a dazzling light. Lin Chenran, along with several senior managers from the 077 Mechanical Arsenal and Yang Pidang, head of the Shiansu Missile Department, stood quietly awaiting the arrival of the head of the JL Ballistic Missile Design and Development Team. Time ticked by, until finally, a low roar of engines reached them from afar. 2 military jeeps slowly drove up to the 077 Mechanical Arsenal Complex, and came to a steady stop. The doors opened, and several young JL ballistic missile design engineers emerged first. They were all energetic, exuding the rigor of a scientific researcher. Then, an elderly man stepped out. Though he was over 70, his gait remained steady and powerful. This man was Mr. Liu, a renowned expert in rocket and missile control technology from Yan State, one of the founders of Yan State's aerospace industry, and a true pioneer of its missile program. It can be said that he is Yan country's most valuable and top scientific giant in the fields of aviation, rockets, and missiles. When Lin Chenran saw Mr. Liu getting out of the car, he hurriedly stepped forward to support him, with a warm smile on his face, and greeted him respectfully. Mr. Liu, why did you come here in person? We are really flattered. Mr. Liu laughed heartily, his voice loud and full of energy, and responded jokingly, haha, our Zhejiang ballistic missile design team has been incorporated, so of course I have to come and pay my respects. Hearing this, Lin Chenran couldn't help scratching his head a little embarrassedly, and hurriedly said, oh, Mr. Liu, please don't say that. You are embarrassing us younger generations. It is our honor to have the opportunity to work with you. Everyone at the scene laughed immediately. The atmosphere at the scene immediately became lively, as if a bonfire had been lit. The thin layer of unfamiliarity that existed between the crowd was like a thin mist under the sun, which disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. "Mr. Liu, please come this way." Lin Chenran stretched out his hand with a smile on his face and carefully helped Mr. Liu forward. At the same time, the staff of the 077 mechanical arsenal were enthusiastically giving instructions in front. Not long after, everyone arrived at the conference room in the complex building of the 077 mechanical arsenal. It was spacious and bright inside, with exquisite and elegant decoration, and neatly arranged tables and chairs. After everyone was seated, the host, Lin Chenran, walked calmly to the podium with a smile on his face. He gently picked up the microphone, cleared his throat, and said, "First of all, on behalf of all the employees of the 077 machinery and arsenal, I would like to extend our warmest welcome to the Jilang ballistic missile design team. Your joining will greatly enhance our family and will surely drive the rapid development of our 077 machinery and arsenal in the field of ballistic missiles." As soon as he finished speaking, the entire conference room erupted in deafening, thunderous applause. The applause lasted for a long time, as if it would burst through the roof and reach the sky. At this moment, Elder Liu slowly stood up, his face beaming with gratitude and relief. He bowed deeply to everyone present and said sincerely, "Thank you all for your hospitality and support. It's truly an honor to join such an outstanding team as the 077 mechanical arsenal." Seeing this, Lin Chenran was horrified. He hurried forward, grasping Elder Liu's arm tightly with both hands, and anxiously said, "Oh, Elder Liu, please don't be so polite. You are a true national treasure of our Yan nation. If you were to get hurt, I wouldn't be able to bear the responsibility, even if I had 10,000 heads." After a period of light-hearted small talk, the atmosphere in the room gradually grew serious. Everyone knew that the core topic was about to be addressed. Elder Liu slightly leaned aside and nodded to an engineer from the Jilang ballistic missile design team standing beside him. The engineer understood, stood up, and began to distribute a thick stack of information to each person in the room. Mr. Liu's face was solemn. He sighed deeply, then spoke slowly, filled with guilt. "Alas, I truly have failed to live up to the nation's high expectations of us. We've been designing the JL ballistic missile for over 7 years, but we haven't achieved satisfactory results yet. Especially during that crucial test in 1985, when the JL ballistic missile lost control the moment it emerged from the water, followed by a violent explosion." Hearing these words, the hearts of everyone present grew heavy. However, at this moment, Lin Chenran, who had remained silent until then, suddenly spoke in comfort. "Mr. Liu, now is not the time to assign blame. The most urgent task is to resolve the current challenges as quickly as possible." As soon as he finished speaking, everyone nodded in agreement. Then, in swift and coordinated movements, they eagerly opened the documents in their hands, the long-awaited schematics and design drawings of the JL ballistic missile. For a moment, the once noisy conference room was as if muted, its silence reduced to a whisper of rustling papers. Lin Chenran sat at the conference table, leaning slightly forward, his eyes fixed on the blueprint spread out before him. His gaze was like two burning flames, fiery and piercing, as if seeking to penetrate the densely packed lines and complex symbols, grasping every crucial detail hidden within. Meanwhile, the engineers from the missile department of the 077 mechanical arsenal were no less focused. Each of them wore a look of utter concentration, their faces solemn and serious, with no sign of slacking off. Each one focused utterly on the precious document in their hands, meticulously reading line by line, word by word, not missing a single tiny bit of information that might influence the final result. The Jilang ballistic missile has a length of 10.7 meters, a diameter of 1.34 meters, and a launch weight of 14.7 tons. It uses a two-stage solid fuel rocket motor and can carry a nuclear warhead with an explosive yield of 200,000 to 1 million tons of TNT. 15 minutes later, everyone at the 077 machinery arsenal had a clearer understanding of the JL ballistic missile. Launching the JL ballistic missile from water requires overcoming a significant pressure differential. The JL ballistic missile is meant to be launched from deep sea, not from a surface nuclear submarine. Launching from a nuclear submarine at the maximum depth of 300 meters, the missile would have to withstand 30 atmospheres of pressure. This was the reason the JL ballistic missile lost control and exploded upon exiting the water in 1985. Chapter 287. The Jalang ballistic missile loses control when it emerges from the water. Under the combined pressure of immense water and air pressure, the JLW ballistic missile, carrying countless hopes and missions, had barely emerged from the water when, like a wild horse, it lost control, accompanied by a violent explosion. Mr. Liu, have you considered any solutions from the material perspective? Lin Chenran asked gravely, his brow furrowed. This question, like a sharp sword, pierced the very heart of the matter. Lin Chenran's in-depth analysis revealed that it was precisely in that high-pressure environment that the JLW ballistic missile, subjected to the relentless pressure of the water, had severely deformed upon launch. This deformation directly led to the disruption of its control system, ultimately causing the loss of control and the subsequent catastrophic explosion. Hearing Lin Chenran's question, Mr. Liu nodded slightly, indicating that they had considered this approach. Yes. We've indeed considered the material issues surrounding the JL ballistic missile and conducted a series of tests specifically for this purpose. Regrettably, no matter how hard we tried various materials, the results were always unsatisfactory and all ended in failure. Elder Lu's words revealed a deep sense of helplessness and regret. Just when everyone thought this was the end of the problem, the meticulous Lin Chenran keenly perceived another crucial factor, the high temperature generated during launch. According to the initial assumptions of the JL ballistic missile design team, the temperature generated at the moment of launch should be around 800 degrees Celsius. However, the actual situation far exceeded everyone's expectations. The scorching heat could melt everything. Temperature is also a significant factor affecting launch. Yes. Elder Lu nodded repeatedly, his face full of appreciation, and he kept muttering, "Not bad, not bad." Clearly pleased with Lin Chenran's performance. It must be said that Lin Chenran was truly a capable person. After only 10 minutes or so of poring over the complex documentation, he was able to clearly identify the current challenges facing the Jalang ballistic missile. Such keen insight and profound expertise were truly admirable. Also watching closely was Yang Pidang, the head of the Shiansu missile department. His brow furrowed slightly, his gaze fixed on the documentation in his hands, his mind racing, striving to find a solution to the Jalang ballistic missile launch failure. Time ticked by, and just as everyone was growing anxious, Yang Pidang suddenly struck, as if struck by lightning, with a flash of inspiration. His eyes lit up instantly, and he secretly rejoiced. Got it. We have several special materials that meet the requirements at the 077 machinery and arsenal. At this thought, Yang Pidang could no longer contain his excitement and blurted out, "General Lin, it suddenly occurred to me that our 077 machinery and arsenal has several different types of special materials in stock. They should perfectly meet the requirements of the JL ballistic missile." Yang Pidang's confident words exploded like a bombshell in the previously quiet conference room. The JL ballistic missile design team members gaped in astonishment, their mouths hanging open in disbelief. For years, they had racked their brains, searching far and wide for suitable special materials, but to no avail. Either the materials couldn't meet the JL ballistic missile's demanding performance specifications, or their prohibitive price was prohibitive. Now, hearing Yang Pidang's confident declaration that he had found the right material, and that it was right here at the 077 machinery and arsenal, how could the JL ballistic missile design team's engineers not be astonished? Really? Elder Lu's eyes widened in disbelief, and he abruptly rose from his seat in excitement. His swift movements created a gust of wind, even sending several documents flying from his desk. If the 077 mechanical arsenal truly possessed relevant materials, it would undoubtedly play a crucial role in advancing the intensive development of the Jalang ballistic missile. Its significance was self-evident. At this moment, Lin Chenran, who had been sitting next to him, quickly stood up, stretched out his hand to gently support Mr. Lu's arm, and comforted him in a soft tone. "Mr. Lu, don't get excited in a hurry, your health is important." After that, he turned around again and scolded Yang Pidang with a hint of complaint. "Engineer Yang, can you speak more steadily in the future? Don't be so jumpy. Look how irritated Mr. Lu is. Hearing this, Yang Pidong, who was standing on the other side, blushed instantly. He quickly bowed deeply to Mr. Lu and said apologetically, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Mr. Lu. It's all my fault. I was inconsiderate. It's my fault, my fault." At this moment, Mr. Lu obviously didn't care about these anymore. He looked at Yang Pidong eagerly and demanded, alright. Now's not the time to assign blame. Yang Gong, you just said that our 077 machinery and military factory possesses a variety of specialized materials that meet the requirements of the JL ballistic missile. Is that true? Mr. Lu had subconsciously uttered the word "ah" while questioning, revealing his current level of anxiety and the importance he attached to the JL ballistic missile. Yang Pidong and Lin Chenran exchanged glances, and Lin Chenran nodded slightly, agreeing to let Yang Pidong continue. With his head held high and his face brimming with pride, Yang Pidong said, "Mr. Lu, when it comes to the field of specialized materials, our 077 machinery and military factory is truly unrivaled. We are an absolute leader domestically, firmly in the top spot. Even on the international stage, we are undoubtedly among the best, and at the forefront." The senior executives of the 077 machinery and military factory nodded in agreement. In the field of specialty materials, if seniority is the key factor, even if the 077 machinery and arms factory claims to be second in China, no other company would dare to claim the title of first. Its achievements and technological advantages in this field leave its competitors far behind. Even in the fiercely competitive international market, the 077 machinery and arms factory maintains a pivotal position in the field of specialty materials, a unique and dominant position. Yang Pidong then enthusiastically began to explain in detail to the Zhejiang ballistic missile design team the various specialty composite materials currently being used by the Shiansu missile department. Yang Pidong methodically presented several samples of specialty composite materials, meticulously explaining each material's performance characteristics, advantages, and potential shortcomings. This presentation immediately impressed everyone present, who were forced to take a new look at the 077 machinery and arms factory's expertise in specialty materials research and development. After Yang Pidong detailed the specialized composite materials possessed by the 077 machinery and arsenal, specifically designed to perfectly meet the JL ballistic missile's requirements, the JL ballistic missile design team members were momentarily entangled. The reason was simple: the various composite materials available at the 077 machinery and arsenal perfectly matched the JL ballistic missile's requirements. Faced with such a multitude of high-quality options, the experienced experts and engineers were momentarily torn and unable to make a quick decision. Even Elder Lu, who had been sitting quietly nearby, frowned, his face etched with confusion. A subtle hint of surprise crossed his usually composed face. Elder Lu then understood the profound foresight behind the seemingly bold decision by the Navy's top brass to integrate the JL ballistic missile design team into the 077 machinery and arsenal. The members of the Zhejiang ballistic missile design team all turned their gazes to Mr. Lu, their eyes filled with eager anticipation. They were asked to select a material for the Zhejiang ballistic missile from this dazzling array of materials. Mr. Lu instantly understood, grasping their purpose. He understood everyone's thoughts. Then, Mr. Lu slowly turned away, a look of worry on his face. He couldn't help but sigh deeply. "Lin, you've given me a real dilemma. I'm at a loss. I don't know what to do. Is this the trouble of happiness? Alas, if I had known our 077 machinery arsenal had such a wide variety of composite materials with excellent performance, I would have brought my entire team directly here. That way, we could have avoided a lot of unnecessary trouble and confusion." Mr. Lu shook his head helplessly. At that moment, the entire conference room erupted in laughter, and the atmosphere instantly became relaxed and joyful. Indeed, if the JL ballistic missile design team had been decisively integrated directly into the 077 machinery and arms factory, perhaps the JL ballistic missile launch would have gone smoothly and successfully, avoiding the previous situation, where it lost control the moment it emerged from the water, followed by a violent explosion. "Mr. Lu, you all really misunderstood us. Yang Pidang, who had been standing by, smiled bitterly and patiently explained, "A few years ago, our 077 machinery and arms factory was just a small third-tier factory on the verge of bankruptcy. How could it possibly be so magnificent and powerful today?" In 1985, the 077 machinery and arms factory was on the verge of bankruptcy and was in the most difficult period. The accompanying research and development of special composite materials was also struggling and in its infancy. How could they possibly provide special composite materials for the JL ballistic missile? The meeting lasted over 2 hours, and Lin Chenran ordered Yang Pidang to take the JL ballistic missile design team to the front line, personally searching for the most suitable special composite materials for the JL ballistic missile. The Yan Navy's top leaders sent Mr. Liu to the 077 mechanical arsenal not just for the JL ballistic missile. They also hoped to improve it and increase its range. While the current JL ballistic missile has some operational capabilities, its limited range of 2,700 kilometers restricts its reach to Asian waters. This limitation makes it inadequate for responding to global threats and falls far short of the Yan Navy's strategic deterrent needs. Therefore, significantly increasing the JL ballistic missile's range to achieve effective global strikes has become a top priority. The Yan Navy's top leaders are well aware that only with a strong military force can they stand tall on the international stage and effectively deter those with ulterior motives against Yan. Lin Chenran, a slightly exhausted man, had just entered his office and had barely had time to catch his breath when the phone on his desk rang rapidly, like a death warrant. Ring, ring, ring. The crisp and loud ringing sound broke the brief silence in the room. Lin Chenran frowned slightly, stretched out his right hand and gently patted his cheeks a few times, trying to quickly wake himself up from his slightly confused state. Then, he quickly walked to the desk and reached out to grab the phone that was still ringing. "Hello. It's Lin Chenran. Who are you?" His voice was lazily and puzzled. Then, a voice that could not be more familiar came from the other end of the line, like a thunderclap exploding in Lin Chenran's ears. "Lin boy, it's me." The other party's tone revealed the majesty and kindness unique to an elder. Hearing this voice, Lin Chenran straightened his back instantly, and the weariness on his face disappeared, replaced by the utmost respect. "Hello, Mr. Zhang. Well, how was it? Was the whole process of receiving the design team of the Jilang ballistic missile going smoothly this time?" Mr. Zhang asked directly, his words revealing his concern for the progress of the work. Before Lin Chenran could reply, Elder Zhang pressed on. "Do you have any good solutions for the problem of the JL ballistic missile losing control and causing a violent explosion the moment it emerges from the water?" Faced with Elder Zhang's barrage of questions, Lin Chenran didn't dare to neglect him and quickly replied, "Elder Zhang, we've already got some clues. Elder Liu is already selecting suitable special composite materials for the JL ballistic missile at our 077 machinery arsenal. Yan's second-generation strategic nuclear submarines have entered an intensive design phase, facing a tight deadline and a daunting task. As one of the Yan's naval leaders, Elder Zhang naturally pays close attention to the JL ballistic missile's design progress. The successful development of this new weapon will greatly enhance the Yan's naval strategic deterrence capability, and its importance is self-evident. Therefore, Elder Zhang's eagerness to learn about the latest developments in the project is understandable. If the JL ballistic missile isn't developed by then, but the second-generation strategic nuclear submarines are, then we'll have nuclear submarines, but no ballistic missiles. Guns without ammunition. Chapter 288 International aid is great. The powerful Jilang ballistic missile, which would deter other nations, must be released. It must also be perfectly integrated with second-generation strategic nuclear submarines and carry nuclear missiles, forming an impenetrable maritime defense line for Yan country. Conventional Jilang ballistic missiles can also be used on conventional submarines. This will enrich the attack methods of Yan country's submarines. They can not only launch torpedoes to attack submarines and ships, but also launch ballistic missiles to attack other targets, such as warships, aircraft, and various nearshore facilities and equipment. After hearing this, Mr. Zhang's weathered face instantly spread with an incomparably brilliant smile, like a blooming spring flower. He thought to himself, it was a wise decision to send the Jalang ballistic missile design team to the 077 mechanical arsenal. Then, Lin Chenran added, our 077 mechanical arsenal has a wide variety of special composite materials, which can be carefully selected by the Jalang ballistic missile design team. Once they determine the special composite materials they need, they can be applied to the Jalang ballistic missile, and then conduct sea trials. Great. Really good. Old Zhang couldn't help but praise it repeatedly. After the Jalang ballistic missile with a range of 2,700 kilometers completes its sea trials, the Jalang ballistic missile design team can use this as a basis to redesign an improved Jalang ballistic missile. The range requirement of this new missile is far beyond the current level and must reach an astonishing 8,000 to 10,000 kilometers. What? Old Zhang, you didn't tell me that when you handed the Jalang ballistic missile design team to me at the naval base. Lin Chenran was completely surprised. Didn't I tell you? You must have forgotten. Old Zhang's tone suddenly changed, and he began to act like a spoiled child. Lin Chenran immediately understood and took the blame. Old Zhang, developing the long-range JL ballistic missile is no problem, but the Navy must provide the funding. As long as the R&D funds were continuously provided, Lin Chenran had no complaints and immediately ordered the JL ballistic missile design team to begin designing the even longer range JL-2 ballistic missile. No problem, the Navy will cover all the design and development costs for the JL-2 ballistic missile. Now, you can rest assured. Old Zhang agreed without hesitation. The development of the JL ballistic missile was related to the security of the entire Yan Kingdom, and the Yan Kingdom Navy was very willing to cover this portion of the design and development costs. Upon hearing this, Lin Chenran felt a heavy burden slowly lift from his heart. As long as there was sufficient funding, the development of the JL-2 ballistic missile would not require Lin Chenran's concern. The main reason was that the JL ballistic missile could not be sold to other countries. It could only be consumed internally by the Yan Kingdom Navy. The purchase quantity was not large. Linjiang Province 077 Mechanical Arsenal. In the spacious and bright office, Lin Chenran was concentrating on dealing with a mountain of documents. Sometimes he frowned and read every detail in the document carefully. Sometimes he wrote quickly, recording his thoughts and decisions. At this moment, there was a light and rhythmic knock on the door. Lin Chenran raised his head and shouted, "Come in." Song Xian gently opened the door and walked in with a hint of anxiety on his face. Seeing the latter so anxious, Lin Chenran couldn't help but feel a little puzzled. Before Song Xian could explain, Lin Chenran had quickly stood up, walked forward, pulled him to the comfortable sofa area, and enthusiastically gestured for him to sit down and rest for a while. Immediately afterwards, Assistant Zhao Liang walked into the office with 2 cups of steaming hot tea. Song Xian took a sip of hot tea, calmed down a little, and got straight to the point. "Chenran, news has arrived from the Damu Kingdom in the Luochao region. They are looking to purchase a large batch of weapons and equipment from our 077 mechanical arsenal once again." Upon hearing this, Lin Chenran looked at Song Xian in surprise. Why would Damu Kingdom suddenly, and without warning, undertake such a large-scale purchase of weapons and equipment? It was truly puzzling, and it made one wonder what the reason was. Could it be that the already tense situation between the two countries had completely broken, escalating tensions once again, threatening a new war? Song Xian, with a solemn expression, sighed deeply and continued, "Alas, the great war between the two countries is about to begin again. The Damu Kingdom's hasty and massive purchase of weapons and equipment is clearly a preemptive measure, a preemptive strategy for a potential conflict." Song Xian's brow furrowed, analyzing the current situation with a worried look. The two countries had been locked in a constant conflict in recent years, with no respite. The root cause lies in irreconcilable conflicts and disagreements over religious beliefs, cultural traditions, ethnic differences, and precious resources. The Camel region, in particular, is rich in oil, like a lusty piece of meat emitting an alluring aroma, attracting the attention of nations. Consequently, those major powers with ulterior motives have been fanning the flames behind the scenes, either overtly or covertly providing so-called aid to the two nations. In reality, a steady stream of advanced weaponry and equipment. The Eagles, for international aid. The Russians, for international aid. Other countries, for international aid. All nations, international aid is great. Either Lion Country invades Wood Country, or Wood Country invades Lion Country. The back and forth, the flames of war, had plunged this land into endless chaos and turmoil. Now, Wood Country wants to purchase a large quantity of weaponry from the 077 machinery arsenal to counter the Lion Country invasion. Lin Chenran's eyes gleamed with gold. The two countries haven't yet engaged in a war. Tensions are only growing between them. Lin Chenran smiled faintly. Mr. Song, we can sell another batch of weapons and equipment and secure a large order. International aid is great. The Eagle Source had previously lifted restrictions on the Damu Kingdom, allowing it to purchase weapons and equipment from other countries. This presented an opportunity for the 077 mechanical arsenal. Previously, it had only sold civilian versions of its weapons and equipment to Damu Kingdom. Now, the 077 mechanical arsenal could directly sell military equipment to them. So, should we accept Damu Kingdom's order? Will the Eagle Source interfere? Song Zian asked worriedly. Lin Chenran had no interest in the war between Damu Kingdom and Lion Country, nor did he feel pity. After all, it was happening in their own country. Lin Chenran consoled him. No, with Russia now on the scene, the Eagle Source wouldn't dare to blockade a country easily. The two countries were eager for Damu Kingdom and Lion Country to fight to the bitter end. This way, they could quickly sell the weapons and equipment in their warehouses. This would provide them with a steady stream of military funds. Chapter 289. The Great Wood Nation is purchasing weapons and equipment? What? The Lion Nation is also coming to purchase? This isn't just our own country. Other countries are doing the same. The war between the Great Wood Kingdom and the Lion Kingdom is raging. As long as this war doesn't hinder the arms dealers' profits, who cares about the lives of soldiers on the battlefield? In this real world, profits always come first, and humanity and morality often take a backseat. Mr. Song, please arrange for Great Wood Kingdom to send some people to visit our 077 mechanical arsenal secretly. Once they arrive, we'll send someone to show them around and demonstrate our products. As for what weapons and equipment Great Wood Kingdom wishes to purchase, let them choose for themselves. But there's a prerequisite. Light weapons and equipment must be prioritized, while heavy weapons can be put a little further down the list. And there's no need to sell weapons and equipment with massive destructive power to Great Wood Kingdom in the Camel region. They simply don't have the funds to spend. They are not like the Sand Kingdom in the Camel region. They are known for being wealthy and wealthy. Song Zian nodded without hesitation, agreeing to do so. After Song Zian left the office, a rapid phone ring suddenly rang from the originally quiet desk. Ring, ring, ring. Lin Chenran, who was thinking about the problem, couldn't help but frowned and muttered to himself, why would someone call me in the middle of the day? Then Lin Chenran saw that the ringing phone was actually red in color. My superiors want to talk to me about something. Thinking of this, he didn't dare to be negligent and quickly reached out to answer the phone. Hello, this is Lin Chenran. May I ask who you are? Lin Chenran's voice was gentle and polite, like a spring breeze gently blowing past his ears. He held the phone in his hand, a faint smile on his face, waiting for the other party's response. Lin boy, don't you have a lunch break? A slightly vicissitudes of life, but full of care came from the other end of the phone. It was the greeting from Mr. Wei. This familiar voice warmed Lin Chenran's heart. Hello, Mr. Wei. Lin Chenran responded quickly, his tone full of respect and kindness. You don't have a lunch break. How can I have a lunch break? I'm the one who will contribute all my strength to our 077 mechanical arsenal. After speaking, the corners of his mouth rose slightly, revealing a confident smile. Ahaha, you kid. Old Wenny laughed heartily. I don't know you yet. When the phone rang just now, you must have been furious inside. Don't think I don't know. Old Wenny ruthlessly exposed Lin Chenran's little thoughts. How could it be? Lin Chenran retorted subconsciously. But then he realized that his defense was a little weak, so he quickly added, absolutely not. Old Wenny, please don't get me wrong. However, he knew very well in his heart that his little tricks had long been seen through by Mr. Wei. But it doesn't matter, even if he was exposed, he would never admit it. The two of them chatted casually, and the atmosphere was relaxed and happy. Not long after, the atmosphere of the conversation between everyone gradually became serious, and the topic naturally shifted to business without knowing it. I saw Mr. Wei cough twice, cleared his throat, and then said solemnly, "Lin boy, I called you this time because there is a very important matter that I need to discuss with you." Hearing this, Lin Chenran was slightly startled and responded subconsciously, "What?" Then he asked doubtfully, "Did I hear it right?" Before Mr. Wei could answer, Lin Chenran's expression instantly became extremely surprised. He suddenly raised his voice and shouted, "Mr. Wei, you just said that the Lion Country sent personnel and planned to purchase weapons and equipment from our 077 mechanical arsenal?" At this moment, Lin Chenran could hardly believe what he was hearing. His tone suddenly rose several notches, and he looked extremely surprised. Lion Country actually wanted to purchase weapons and equipment from the 077 mechanical arsenal? And was it going through the Yan Country military as a middleman? What on earth was going on? It was truly unbelievable and too bizarre. Not long ago, Lin Chenran nodded and agreed. He allowed the Great Wood Country to send personnel to the 077 mechanical arsenal to purchase the necessary weapons and equipment. Unexpectedly, almost at the same moment, the Yan Country military suddenly informed Lin Chenran that the Lion Country also planned to send personnel to purchase weapons and equipment. This series of changes, like a sudden storm, was completely beyond Lin Chenran's expectations. Before this, he had never imagined that such a complex and overwhelming situation would arise. The current situation between the Great Wood Country and the Lion Country was tense and on the verge of breaking out into a fierce war at any time. Two countries unexpectedly chose to ask the 077 mechanical arsenal to purchase weapons and equipment at the same time. The old man Wei on the other end of the phone was full of suspicion, and he was secretly wondering why Lin Chenran showed such a surprised expression. Then, Lin Chenran hurriedly explained to the old man Wei in detail the whole story and the complicated reasons behind it. After listening to Lin Chenran's story, the old man Wei was also shocked and couldn't help but blurt out, "What? Damn, you country also purchased weapons and equipment from your 077 mechanical arsenal? You just agreed to their request and have already arranged for people to notify the other party to send someone over?" Mr. Wei had not expected such an incredible thing to happen. Normally, two hostile countries that are about to go to war will generally look for different military suppliers to obtain weapons and equipment, so as to avoid the weapons they use being known to the opponent in advance and to study countermeasures. But now, the two countries seemed to have made an appointment and turned their attention to the 077 mechanical arsenal. Faced with this unprecedented situation, even someone as experienced as Mr. Wei was a little overwhelmed for a while, and he didn't know how to solve this problem. Mr. Wei calmed down and asked in a low voice, "Lin boy, how do you say this is solved?" "Mr. Wei, please ask the delegation members of the Lion Country to come over. We can't give up any customer. Lin Chenran's idea is to take it all. Sell weapons and equipment to Damu Country and Lion Country. How could Lin Chenran miss such a good opportunity? Despicable. The biggest sin is not to make money. As for the war between the two countries, what does it have to do with him, Lin Chenran? As long as there is no war in Yan Country, 077 mechanical arsenal is in urgent need of funds to develop itself. As for not being able to supply weapons and equipment to two countries at the same time, 077 mechanical arsenal can use Pakistan, a third party, to supply weapons and equipment to one of the countries. Chapter 290, The Arrival of the Shadamu Delegation. The 077 mechanical arsenal has always adhered to a firm principle: never miss a single weapons and equipment deal. Giving up isn't just irresponsible, it's also a profound disrespect and betrayal of their customers. Regardless of the difficulties and challenges, they will do their utmost to meet their customers' every need. Once, the Eagle Army imposed a complete blockade on the Damu Kingdom, strictly prohibiting the flow of any weapons and equipment into the country. This didn't faze the 077 mechanical arsenal. They acted swiftly, demonstrating tremendous creativity and ingenuity. They developed and manufactured a series of civilian weapons and equipment directly for Damu Kingdom, including powerful heavy mortars and civilian versions of the Katasha rocket launcher. While these weapons were classified as civilian, their performance and lethality were in no way inferior to military equipment. Upon hearing this, Elder Wei couldn't help but sigh with heartfelt admiration. "Lin, young man, I really admire your willingness to sacrifice your life for money. Elder Wei was filled with admiration for Lin Chenran's bold move. Typically, when two countries are in a state of hostility, weapons and equipment suppliers tend to support only one side. But now, Lin Chenran broke the convention and resolutely decided to start a transaction with both parties at the same time, realizing the true meaning of taking everything. In this regard, Lin Chenran seemed full of confidence and determined to win. He responded, "Mr. Wei, our 077 mechanical arsenal is really too poor. Since such a good order for weapons and equipment has come to us, how can we refuse them?" Suddenly, the two of them laughed at the same time. As long as you can make money, it doesn't matter whether they are warring parties. The chief designer said it well. It doesn't matter whether the cat is black or white, as long as it can catch mice, it is a good cat. Since Lin Chenran agreed, Mr. Wei didn't worry too much, but just reminded the other party not to let the Damu Kingdom and the Lion Kingdom meet. "Mr. Wei, don't worry, I will make proper arrangements. Even if the two sides meet, I will sell the weapons and equipment that should be sold, no matter whether the other party is a warring party or not." Lin Chenran is so arrogant. What the Eagle Source dares not to sell, their 077 mechanical arsenal dares to sell. If the Eagle Source dares to sell it, the 077 mechanical arsenal will dare to sell it even more. Elder Wei was speechless. "You kid, you're really audacious. Anyway, you have to be careful not to cause trouble for the country." "Don't worry, I understand." The two chatted for a while before hanging up. Time was like a wild horse running away, galloping endlessly, disappearing in the blink of an eye. The delegation from the Damu nation in the Camel region secretly traveled to the 077 mechanical arsenal. The sun poured down, illuminating the tall figures of Lin Chenran and Song Xian, who were waiting for the Damu nation delegation in front of the complex building of the 077 mechanical arsenal. As Daniel Harper and others slowly stepped out of the car, Lin Chenran immediately stepped forward, smiling broadly and saying, "Mr. Daniel Harper, a warm welcome to our 077 mechanical arsenal. Your presence truly makes our factory shine." His words were filled with sincerity and enthusiasm, like a spring breeze blowing through people's hearts. Although the Damu Kingdom wasn't as wealthy as the legendary Sand Kingdom, the richest country in the world, with only a piece of cloth on its head, they also possessed extremely rich oil resources. For the 077 machinery arsenal, their visit to purchase weapons and equipment was a truly distinguished guest of honor. Upon hearing Lin Chenran's warm welcome, Daniel Harper's once stern face instantly blossomed with a smile as brilliant as a spring flower. He quickly stepped forward, shook Lin Chenran's hand tightly, and excitedly responded, "Director Lin, you're so polite." In his opinion, Lin Chenran's personal visit to greet them fully demonstrated the importance the 077 machinery arsenal attached to their visit. Such courtesy surely delighted Daniel Harper. No, Mr. Daniel, please don't say that. You are our most distinguished guests, our important partners, and our major financial backers at the 077 mechanical arsenal. The proper etiquette must be observed," Lin Chenran said with a broad smile, his tone light and humorous. Then, half jokingly, he continued, "If my momentary impoliteness and negligence cause you to become displeased and stop purchasing weapons and equipment from our factory, then I, a humble factory director, will be in big trouble. I might even find an employee stabbing me in the back while I'm walking down the street." Lin Chenran's words were like a stone dropped into a calm lake, instantly sending ripples through the air. The crowd, who had been somewhat reserved, was stunned for a moment, then burst into laughter. Some collapsed in laughter, while others clutched their stomachs, unable to straighten themselves. The entire place was filled with joy and laughter, and the atmosphere suddenly became lively. Amidst this cheerful laughter, the distance between the two parties seemed to have suddenly closed. The previous feeling of strangeness and alienation, like the morning mist, quickly dissipated without a trace under the sunlight. After laughing, Lin Chenran warmly gestured to the delegation members of the Camel region Damu country, and then led them towards the complex building. Along the way, everyone talked and laughed, and it was very harmonious. The staff of the 077 mechanical arsenal was very considerate and led the way for the delegation in front to ensure that they could reach the meeting room smoothly. When they arrived at the meeting room, everyone found a seat and sat down. Lin Chenran winked at a senior executive of the 077 mechanical arsenal. The senior executive of the 077 mechanical arsenal understood instantly, stood up and bowed to the representative members of the dummy country to express his gratitude, and then explained to the latter the various weapons and equipment of their own, especially light weapons and various heavy weapons. Seeing this, the members of the dummy country delegation on the side had greedy eyes. The weapons and equipment are what their dummy country needs. Although the Russian bear is supporting them from behind and giving them some weapons and equipment of the dummy country. However, the senior leaders of the Great Wood Nation felt that this amount of weaponry was insufficient and could not defend their country. Furthermore, support was not free. Great Wood Nation still needed to spend money to purchase it. Russia would only accept a small amount of oil as payment for its debts. Russia was rich in oil resources and was also one of the world's largest exporters of oil and natural gas. Now that Great Wood Nation was short of funds and Yan Nation was short of oil resources, this presented an opportunity for cooperation. They could purchase large quantities of weaponry from Yan Nation, and Yan Nation would receive a certain amount of oil from them. Most importantly, Yan Nation was the most fair in doing business. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 291. Did Shadamu meet the Lion Country? Especially after entering into business cooperation with the 077 mechanical arsenal, everything became exceptionally smooth and efficient. This powerful partner seemed to possess a magical power, always managing everything perfectly and in perfect order. Take the oil development, for example. Originally, this was a major project, requiring a vast investment of manpower, material resources, and financial resources. However, with the participation of the 077 mechanical arsenal, Damu country barely had to expend much effort. From the initial exploration to the subsequent extraction and processing, every step was meticulously planned and executed, and everything progressed smoothly. Just then, Lin Chenran suddenly received an urgent notice. He said apologetically to Daniel Harper and the others, "I'm so sorry, Daniel. From now on, Mr. Song will lead you to the weapons testing site to test the various weapons and equipment you will need. I have something urgent to attend to here. I hope you will bear with me." Lin Chenran apologized profusely to everyone. Assistant Zhao Liang had just whispered some important information into Lin Chenran's ear, forcing him to temporarily put aside his work to deal with the emergency. Daniel Harper, however, was incredibly magnanimous. He casually waved his hand and replied with a smile, "Lin, go ahead and do your thing. There's no need to apologize. Having Mr. Song show us around your factory's impressive array of weaponry is more than enough." Daniel Harper was clearly captivated by the dazzling array of advanced weaponry, so much so that he had no time to consider Lin Chenran's brief absence. He was content simply to retain a few senior executives from the 077 machinery arsenal to provide a detailed introduction to these formidable weapons and equipment. "Thank you, Daniel, for your understanding," Lin Chenran said gratefully, a smile of relief spreading across his face. After saying this, he quickly stood up and hurriedly left the meeting room. His pace was so rapid, as if pursued by a ferocious beast. He walked through the corridor anxiously, with only one thought in his mind, to get back to his office as soon as possible. Not long after, Lin Chenran rushed into the office in a hurry. As soon as he entered the door, he didn't even have time to take a breath, and quickly reached out and grabbed the red phone. He held the receiver tightly, his fingers trembling slightly, and quickly dialed a series of numbers. As the dial tone sounded, his heart also hung in the air. Time passed by minute, and finally, a crisp beep came from the other end of the phone, indicating that the call was connected. "Hello? Who is this?" A low and majestic voice came from the other end of the phone. "Mr. Wei, your military wants to kill our 077 mechanical arsenal." Lin Chenran could no longer suppress his inner anger and anxiety, and complained to the phone. "You knew that the delegation of the Camel region Dami country was visiting our 077 mechanical arsenal, and you actually arranged for the Lion country to come in the afternoon 3 days later." Lin Chenran became more and more excited as he spoke, and his voice unconsciously rose 8 degrees. According to the original arrangement, the delegation of Damu country will stay at the 077 mechanical arsenal for 3 full days, and then leave at noon 3 days later. The delegation of Lion country was properly arranged to arrive on the 4th day. In this way, the itineraries of both parties can be perfectly staggered to avoid any unnecessary trouble. Now that the Yan country military has made a sudden change, the Lion country delegation will arrive in advance on the afternoon of the 3rd day. If the time management is not careful, then the delegations of these two hostile countries will most likely meet at the 077 mechanical arsenal. Thinking of this, Lin Chenran couldn't help but feel a sense of fear. Once this happens, there will be endless troubles for the 077 mechanical arsenal. It will also affect the cooperative relationship between Yan country and the two countries, and may even cause serious diplomatic disputes. This incident was indeed caused by the Yan country military's failure to fully consider various situations. This result filled Lin Chenran with dissatisfaction and deep worry. Elder Wen spoke calmly. Lin, on behalf of the military, I sincerely apologize for this matter. We indeed made a serious mistake in our arrangements this time. Then, hesitantly, he asked, then, how about we decline the Lion Nation delegation's request to visit the 077 mechanical arsenal? The Lion Nation delegation was anxiously returning home. Faced with this situation, the Yan Nation military was in a dilemma, clueless, and could only hastily make some arrangements. Hearing this, Lin Chenran lowered his head in thought for a moment, then shook his head firmly, rejecting Elder Wen's proposal. He calmly analyzed, no, Elder Wen, there is no need to reject the Lion Nation's request. I will make appropriate arrangements in advance to ensure that the delegations from both countries do not meet. The 077 mechanical arsenal covers a vast area, but with proper planning of routes and time, contact between the two sides can be avoided. Elder Wen sighed deeply after hearing Lin Chenran's words. It turned out that Lion country had already engaged in a series of close military cooperation and exchange activities with the Yan country military. After several rounds of in-depth negotiations and consultations, Lion country finally successfully purchased a large batch of weapons and equipment from the Yan country military. However, the members of the Lion country delegation made a seemingly tough request. They had to personally visit the 077 machinery and military factory and conduct an on-site inspection. Otherwise, the previously agreed purchase order for advanced weaponry and equipment would be cancelled. This was the reason for the Yan country military's arrangement. The Yan country military also reached a cooperation agreement with Lion country, becoming the latter's continuous supplier of weapons and equipment. In comparison, Lion country was clearly superior to the Great Wood country in terms of both economic strength and financial resources. 3 days passed in a flash, and the Great Wood country delegation members left the 077 machinery and military factory with great satisfaction. As soon as the Great Wood country delegation left, they saw a car driving into the 077 machinery and military factory. They paid no attention. Lin Chenran and the senior executives of the 077 machinery and military factory watched the Great Wood country leave without returning to their work. I waited quietly beside Lin Chenran. Soon, a new batch of cars slowly drove into the 077 mechanical arsenal and stopped in front of the complex building. After the cars stopped, the Lion country delegation members got off in an orderly manner. Lin Chenran and several senior executives of the 077 mechanical arsenal warmly came forward to greet them. The Lion country delegation spent 3 unforgettable days at the 077 mechanical arsenal, unloaded a batch of weapons and equipment, and left with satisfaction. Chapter 292, Shadamu and the Lion country fight with each other. Why would Lion country travel thousands of miles to Yan country to lavishly purchase and ship back a large quantity of weapons and equipment? The reason behind this isn't simply a desire to increase its own inventory and bolster its military's capabilities. In fact, there's a deeper and more complex dynamic at play. It stems from explicit instructions from its major financial backer, the Eagle Source. This powerful nation has long coveted the advanced weaponry produced by the 077 machinery and arms factory. However, due to concerns about reputation, it has been unable to bring itself to personally place an order with Yan country for these coveted military weapons. Then, Lion country coincidentally requested a shipment of weapons and equipment. Thus, the Eagle Source took advantage of the situation and promptly dispatched Lion Country to Yan Country to purchase a batch of weapons and equipment, specifically emphasizing that the 077 machinery and arms factory be the primary destination. The Eagle Source also secretly urged Lion Country to seize this rare opportunity to thoroughly investigate the factory's internal operations, including relevant technical details and other core intelligence. Recalling the Grand Zuhei Arms and Equipment exhibition held not long ago, the dazzling array of cutting-edge weaponry displayed by the 077 machinery arsenal was a dazzling spectacle, captivating countless visitors. Even the self-important Eagle Source was deeply impressed, its heart itching like a cat's paw gently scratching it. However, due to various considerations, Eagle Source ultimately avoided direct negotiations and cooperation with Yan Country regarding the procurement of weapons and equipment. However, he devised a different approach, arranging for Lion Country to visit Yan Country to purchase a batch of weapons and equipment. Thus, a seemingly ordinary weapons and equipment procurement operation, in reality, concealed a myriad of hidden secrets and conspiracies, quietly unfolded. It's worth noting that the exceptionally astute Lin Chenran had long been aware of the subtle schemes between Lion Country and Eagle Source. Yet, he chose to remain silent, not rushing to expose their true intentions. From a certain perspective, the other party's initiative to purchase a large quantity of weapons and equipment was undoubtedly a sure-win deal. So, why rush to expose it? Let the drama continue. The Yan Kingdom's military and the 077 machinery and military factory are both profiting a ton of money. As for the massive shipment of weapons and equipment purchased by Lion Country, well, the detailed data related to these weapons and equipment, including confidential information such as their specific performance parameters and design structures, as well as core technical information such as the special materials and formulas used in their manufacture, be leaked after they are shipped back home. Regarding this question, the 077 machinery and military factory stated, if other countries can truly extract useful information from the weapons and equipment we sell, then we don't need to engage in the foreign sales business. Furthermore, the weapons and equipment sold abroad are actually versions that have undergone certain modifications. Generally speaking, the overall performance level of these foreign sale weapons and equipment is only approximately 65 to 70% of the domestically produced versions. This is precisely why the Yan Kingdom's military is so calm about allowing the 077 machinery and military factory to sell weapons and equipment to other countries. Time flew by, and less than a month and a half had passed since the Great Wood Kingdom and the Lion Kingdom each purchased large quantities of weapons and equipment from the Yan Kingdom and brought them back to their home countries. However, during this brief period, the already existing tensions between the two countries escalated sharply, and the conflict escalated, eventually evolving into a larger scale standoff, and, gradually, a localized war. Notably, the majority of the light weapons and equipment used by the armies of both sides in this conflict, such as rifles, submachine guns, and various artillery pieces, came from the Yan Kingdom. This situation undoubtedly created an extremely interesting and rare phenomenon, as the armies of the Great Wood Kingdom and the Lion Kingdom engaged in fierce fighting on the smoke-filled battlefield. They were wielding a variety of weapons and equipment manufactured in the Yan Kingdom. Once one army successfully captured the other's weapons and equipment, they could immediately distribute them for combat use without requiring specialized training for their own soldiers. This was because they were essentially derived from the same source and shared highly similar operating methods and performance characteristics. As expected, when it comes to warfare lacking high-tech support, the Wood Kingdom and the Lion Kingdom are both seasoned and experienced. The battles between the two nations were fierce, with each side refusing to yield. Recalling the previous conflict, the situation was completely one-sided. The situation then was vastly different. The Wood Kingdom's weaponry was vastly outdated, yet their combat effectiveness was astonishing. Meanwhile, the Lion Kingdom, receiving continuous military assistance from numerous countries, including the United States, possessed state-of-the-art weaponry. However, surprisingly, despite this superior military armament, the Lion Kingdom failed to crush the Wood Kingdom in this war. Instead, it suffered repeated setbacks from the Wood Kingdom. Furthermore, the Wood Kingdom rapidly recaptured all the territory previously occupied by the Lion Kingdom. In contrast, in a war lacking high-tech weapons and equipment, Shadamu and the Lion Country are no better than each other, and neither of them has benefited from it. On a sunny day, Lin Chenran led several corps members from the 077 Mechanical Arsenal and arrived at an Air Force base of the Yan Country military. The base was heavily guarded, and there was a solemn atmosphere everywhere. When they arrived, they were immediately warmly received by the base staff. Lin Chenran couldn't help but feel a little surprised, but on the surface he still maintained a calm demeanor. Not long after, Lin Chenran met the Air Force boss he came to meet this time, Mr. Lin. Before he could exchange a few words of greeting, the anxious Lin Chenran asked directly, "Mr. Lin, why did you call me here in such a hurry?" At this time, the 077 Mechanical Arsenal had developed into a large-scale military industrial enterprise, and it was overwhelmed by various businesses, which made Lin Chenran, as the person in charge, increasingly busy. Facing Lin Chenran's eager inquiry, Mr. Lin did not answer immediately. Instead, he smiled slightly and gestured, "Don't worry, let's get in the car and talk slowly." After that, he turned and walked towards a car that had been waiting for a long time. "I worked overtime for 15 hours today. The update is slow. Sorry everyone." Chapter 293, Master Bang 6. Despite his suspicions, Lin Chenran followed Elder Lin without hesitation and climbed into the spacious car with the others. After the car slowly started, Elder Lin spoke with a smile. "Lin, we've asked you to come because our Air Force has an important mission for your 077 machinery arsenal to complete." At the word mission, Lin Chenran's eyes lit up, his confusion instantly replaced by excitement and anticipation. For a company primarily focused on manufacturing military equipment, missions mean new orders, and orders naturally bring lucrative profits. At this thought, Lin Chenran's lips lifted slightly, like a flower blooming in spring, a brilliant smile gradually forming. That smile seemed to contain endless joy and anticipation, brightening the air around them. At that moment, he was filled with anticipation for the future. He wished the Yan Kingdom military would continuously assign them a large number of important missions for the 077 machinery arsenal. However, a basin of ice-cold water was poured on his burning heart without any warning. What? Lin Chenran's eyes widened, his mouth opened, so wide that an egg could almost fit in. He turned his head in disbelief, his eyes fixed on Mr. Lin beside him, and the expression on his face instantly froze into a picture of astonishment. "Mr. Lin, are you sure?" Lin Chenran's voice unconsciously rose 8 octaves, with obvious doubts and confusion in it. "Let our 077 mechanical arsenal upgrade the H-6 bomber? How is this possible?" Lin Chenran stood there in a daze, as if struck by lightning. He really didn't expect that the Yan Country Air Force would entrust this difficult and unfamiliar task to their 077 mechanical arsenal. The H-6 bomber is a model with a long history and relatively outdated technology. Faced with today's rapidly changing and complex international situation, this old bomber is obviously no longer able to cope with the situation. However, Mr. Lin's face was extremely serious, without any intention of joking. He nodded solemnly and replied in a firm tone, "Yes, with the increasingly tense international situation today, various conflicts and disputes continue to emerge. The existing performance of the H-6 bomber can no longer meet the growing strategic needs of our country. No, the Yan Country Air Force has decided to give it a comprehensive upgrade and transformation so that it can better adapt to the current complex and changing war environment and give a strong deterrent to countries with ulterior motives." The H-6 bomber was a medium-sized twin-engine jet strategic bomber developed and put into mass production by Yan Country in the 1950s, when Yan Country introduced the Tu-16 bomber from the Soviet Union. Based on this, it was developed and put into mass production through its own unremitting efforts. Back in 1969, this H-6 bomber, which carries countless expectations and missions, officially began its long service career in the Yan Country Air Force. Time flies, and so far, it has been in service for more than 18 years. With the rapid development of the times and the rapid advancement of technology, the performance of the H-6 bomber has lagged behind the advanced bombers of other countries in the world and has been left far behind. As the Yan Country Air Force said, its outdated performance is indeed difficult to meet the current Air Force's growing and increasingly stringent combat needs. The prototype of the H-6 bomber, the Tu-16 bomber, was developed between 1950 and 1952 and was already in service in the Russian Air Force in 1955. Counting on one's fingers, this is an old model with a history of more than 30 years. It is not easy for such outdated equipment to gain a foothold and play an important role in the ever-changing modern warfare with endless high-tech means. Faced with this situation, Lin Chenran couldn't help but wonder, Mr. Lin, since the Air Force is well aware of the backward performance of the H-6 bomber, why not simply replan and design a brand new bomber? Instead, they insist on upgrading and renovating the existing H-6 bomber. He poured out all the questions that had been buried in his heart for a long time, hoping to get the answers he wanted from Mr. Lin. Is it sentiment? Is it love? Definitely not. Because of poverty. Not much money. Upgrading and transformation can save a lot of research and development funds compared to a new design. Mr. Lin's explanation instantly made Lin Chenran speechless. So that's it. Although military spending has increased a lot this year, but every penny must be spent on the cutting edge. The Yan State Air Force purchased a batch of helicopters and fighter jets. It also purchased several Yun-10 airborne early warning aircraft from the 077 mechanical arsenal. Today, the Yan State Air Force has very little military funds left on hand, which forces them to adopt a stopgap measure patching for another 3 years when facing the development of strategic bombers. The Yan State Air Force is temporarily unable to purchase new strategic bombers on a large scale. It can only upgrade the H-6 bomber to enhance its combat effectiveness. The Yan State Air Force handed this difficult task to the 077 Mechanical Arsenal. 077 Mechanical Arsenal can maximize the performance of the H-6 bomber in the most economical and affordable way. Lin Chenran couldn't help but smiled bitterly and shook his head. Old people are always the best. He instantly felt that he was on a pirate ship that he couldn't get off easily. Mr. Lin and the senior leaders of the Yan State Air Force believed that under the current circumstances, the upgrade and transformation of the H-6 bomber can only be reliably entrusted to the 077 Mechanical Arsenal. Other manufacturers are unable to do it. The reason is simple. The Yan State Air Force does not have extra funds to build for other aircraft manufacturing companies. In the face of Mr. Lin's expectations and trust, Lin Chenran responded, Mr. Lin, please rest assured, our 077 Mechanical Arsenal will do our utmost to complete the upgrade and transformation of the H-6 bomber this time. Lin Chenran had a rough plan in his mind. No problem, as long as the performance of our H-6 bomber can be greatly improved, our Air Force will be very satisfied. Hearing Lin Chenran's firm promise, the face of Mr. Lin, which was covered with traces of time, was like a blooming spring flower, and instantly filled with an extremely brilliant smile. He knew Lin Chenran's character very well. Once Lin Chenran said that he would do his best to do something, he would spare no effort and go all out, and would never just perfunctorily do it. At this time, Lin Chenran's bright eyes turned slightly, and then he said, Mr. Lin, since I have agreed to help our Air Force upgrade the H-6 bomber, then before that, I hope you can agree to a small request of mine. Upon hearing this, Mr. Lin was stunned for a moment, and then responded readily, okay, just say it. But his tone changed. However, I can't help with things that are too embarrassing. Obviously, Mr. Lin wanted to give Lin Chenran a dose of vaccination in advance. Chapter 294, The Outdated H-6. After hearing these words, Lin Chenran seemed to be struck by a thunderbolt, and the whole person was stunned for a moment. How could he not be fooled at all? Although he was full of doubts and disappointments, he still firmly expressed his thoughts. Mr. Lin, my request is actually very simple. If the Air Force plans to develop a new type of strategic bomber in the future, then this order must be given to our 077 Mechanical Arsenal. When Mr. Lin heard this, the expression on his face became solemn. He slowly closed his eyes and began to think seriously about the conditions proposed by Lin Chenran. If you say that this request is excessive, it doesn't seem too outrageous, but if you say it is not excessive, it makes people feel a little unacceptable. The strategic bomber is related to the entire strategic layout of Yang country. A decision cannot be made lightly. Lin Chenran stared at Mr. Lin with burning eyes, and he was very nervous. What he expected was not just a verbal promise, but a real guarantee. ensure that the 077 mechanical arsenal can become the design and development arsenal of the Yan Country Air Force's strategic bomber. After a long while, Elder Lin finally opened his eyes, his mouth corners slightly raised, revealing a kind smile, and said, "No problem. If our Air Force really has the need to design and develop a new bomber in the future, we will definitely give priority to your 077 mechanical arsenal. You are the first choice." When Lin Chenran heard this, his originally frowned brows locked even tighter, and a bitter smile unconsciously appeared on his face. He asked in disbelief, "What? Just the first choice?" He secretly groaned in his heart, thinking, Elder Lin, you are not playing word games with me. Behind the so-called first choice, there must be other alternatives." Sure enough, the old is still the best. And Elder Lin on the side said calmly, "Lin boy, I know the research and development strength of your 077 mechanical arsenal like a mirror." He narrowed his eyes slightly. "Although I can't give you a definite guarantee, given the exceptional design and R&D capabilities of your 077 mechanical arsenal, once this thing falls into your hands, can it fly like a rocket?" The 077 mechanical arsenal's design and R&D capabilities are unparalleled throughout Yan Country, consistently at the forefront of technological advancement. Even globally, it's unique and one of a kind. Hearing this, Lin Chenran couldn't help but smile wryly and replied, "Old Lin, I have undeniable faith in the R&D capabilities of our 077 mechanical arsenal, but..." He shook his head helplessly before finishing his words. "Relax." Seeing this, Old Lin gently raised his hand and patted Lin Chenran's shoulder. A reassuring look crossed his eyes. Alas. Lin Chenran sighed deeply, though a hint of worry remained. Just then, the car slowly arrived at its destination and came to a steady stop. The car door opened, and Lin Chenran and his group filed out. As their feet touched the ground and their eyes met the front, they were all stunned by the scene before them. Not far ahead, several H-6 bombers stood silently like steel behemoths, neatly arranged in formation, exuding an unparalleled aura of majesty. Their massive solid fuselages, illuminated by the brilliant sunlight, gleamed with a cold, dazzling metallic luster, like razor-sharp swords piercing the heavens, filling the air with awe. As they approached these behemoths, the awe intensified. Standing close and looking up, one could clearly see the H-6 bomber's massive bulk and intricate structure. Every component and every detail seemed to speak of its past experiences and its glorious military exploits. It's undeniable that despite the H-6 bomber's glorious past, with the continuous advancement of the times, its current performance can no longer fully meet the growing operational demands of modern air forces. This medium bomber, born 50 or 60 years ago, has weathered the vicissitudes of time, and it's time for it to rest. At this moment, Lin Chenran, who was in the crowd, suddenly asked, "Mr. Lin, do you think we could have a chance to go inside the H-6 bomber for a tour? I'm very curious about its detailed interior." His eyes fixed on the bomber, filled with anticipation. Mr. Lin, without even a second thought, readily replied, "Of course." It turned out that one of the main purposes of inviting Lin Chenran and other senior executives from the 077 machinery arsenal to the Air Force Base was to allow them to personally inspect the H-6 bomber and gain a more intuitive and clear understanding of it. This would allow them to better understand and upgrade the bomber in the future. Upon hearing this, the crowd beamed with joy, their excitement overflowing. You know, such an opportunity to get close to and gain an in-depth understanding of the internal structure of the H-6 bomber is quite rare. Everyone is eager to get a glimpse of the true appearance of the interior of this legendary fighter. Although the performance of the H-6 bomber may be slightly lagging in some aspects, it is undeniable that it is still a mysterious weapon held tightly in the hands of the Yan Country Air Force. Due to its uniqueness and confidentiality, it is almost impossible for ordinary people to get close to it. Later, under the guidance of the Yan Country Air Force soldiers, Lin Chenran and his party finally set foot inside the H-6 bomber. Immediately afterwards, a dedicated technician came and explained in detail the basic data of the H-6 bomber. He was seen holding a piece of information and pointing to various parts of the aircraft and began to introduce it. The first thing that catches your eye is the 34.80 meter long fuselage, its lines flowing yet majestic. Its maximum diameter reaches 2.5 meters, giving it a sense of sturdiness and reliability. Then there's the enormous wingspan of 32.93 meters, resembling a giant eagle ready to take flight. Its height is also formidable, reaching a whopping 10.36 meters. As for weight, the bomber's empty weight is a staggering 37,200 kilograms, and when fully loaded, its maximum takeoff weight reaches an astonishing 75,800 kilograms. Soaring through the air with such a massive body requires a formidable powertrain. Speaking of which, it's crucial to mention its powertrain, two WP8 engines. Each of these domestically produced turbojet engines boasts a maximum thrust of approximately 9.5 tons. It's precisely this power output that enables the H-6 to successfully take off and carry out its various missions. Of course, compared to bombers from other countries, its speed is simply indescribable. Chapter 295, taking over the upgrade and renovation project of Master Hong 6. As a strategically important aircraft in my country, the H-6 bomber boasts a formidable bomb loadout. Its standard payload is approximately 9 tons, but with special modifications, it can carry up to 15 tons. The H-6 also boasts a remarkable range, extending from 6,000 kilometers to a maximum of 8,000 kilometers. Furthermore, it boasts an impressive speed, reaching a maximum of 1,050 km per hour, equivalent to Mach 0.86. The H-6 boasts a robust weapons payload, capable of carrying a wide variety of advanced missiles. Perhaps most notably, its ability to carry a powerful nuclear-tipped missile is crucial. This capability has made the H-6 a key asset in my country's national defense, enabling it to exert a significant deterrent effect at critical moments. An intriguing saying has been widely circulated internationally: people aren't afraid of the H-6 bomber when fully loaded with missiles. What truly frightens them is when it carries only a single missile, and that missile is a nuclear-tipped one. At this point, Elder Lin moved to Lin Chenran's side and asked cautiously in a low voice, "How's the situation?" Lin Chenran frowned, shook his head slightly, and replied without hesitation, "Elder Lin, with all due respect, I don't mean to discourage you all, but we have to admit that our H-6 bomber is indeed too old and outdated. Compared to bombers from other countries around the world at the same time, we are already at a clear disadvantage, not to mention the advanced models recently launched by other countries." Elder Lin did not show any strange expression when he heard this. Clearly, he agreed with Lin Chenran's statement. The senior leaders of the Yan State Air Force also agreed. As a model that has been in service for many years, the H-6 bomber's airframe structure and technical level are indeed quite old compared to modern advanced fighters, and its various performance indicators are clearly lagging behind the development trend of the times. At this moment, however, Lin Chenran changed the subject and continued, "Mr. Lin, please rest assured. I've actually already sketched out a rough outline and ideas for upgrading this old bomber." He patted his chest confidently and assured, "Upon my return, I'll immediately assemble an elite team of experienced and skilled aerospace professionals to officially launch the comprehensive upgrade and modification project for the H-6 bomber." Hearing this, Mr. Lin, who had been listening quietly, couldn't help but beam with joy, his lips curling up slightly in a satisfied smile. This was exactly the outcome he had hoped for. This H-6 bomber upgrade would fully leverage Lin Chenran's innovative thinking and the exceptional expertise of the top aerospace talent at the 077 machinery arsenal. Lin Chenran offered suggestions. Top aerospace talent took the lead. Together, they would breathe new life and vitality into this once famous bomber. Lin Chenran paused briefly, as if gathering his thoughts, before adding, "Mr. Lin, I'd like to trouble you to arrange for capable personnel to deliver all relevant design and development drawings of the H-6 bomber to our 077 machinery arsenal as soon as possible. These drawings are crucial to the smooth progress of the entire upgrade and renovation project." His tone was firm and sincere, his eyes revealing his seriousness and anticipation for this work. Lin Chenran then further explained, "Only when we truly and thoroughly understand every nuance and intricate structural design of the H-6 bomber can we be well informed and focused, allowing us to systematically carry out deeper and more innovative upgrades." This will not only maximize the performance of this bomber, enabling it to play a greater role on future battlefields, but also better meet national strategic needs and respond to the increasingly complex and volatile international situation. At this point, he couldn't help but frown, clearly aware of the current dire situation. Elder Lin showed almost no hesitation in responding to Lin Chenran's reasonable request. He waved his hand and readily agreed. Haha, no problem, no problem. I'll get started right away and ensure the relevant personnel deliver the drawings to you as quickly as possible. His face radiated confidence and decisiveness. Then, Elder Lin added, when the time comes, a dedicated staff member will naturally visit you and conduct a detailed handover. So just wait patiently and don't worry too much. Hearing Elder Lin's straightforward response, a huge weight of relief finally fell from Lin Chenran's heart. But at the same time, he also felt the heavy responsibility on his shoulders. He quickly straightened his back and solemnly promised Elder Lin, don't worry, Elder Lin. Since we at the 077 Machinery and Arsenal have taken on this arduous and important task, there will be absolutely no delays. We will spare no effort, racing against time to develop a comprehensive and feasible upgrade plan for the H-6 bomber, ensuring we live up to the nation's expectations. As he spoke, he patted his chest vigorously to demonstrate his resolve. Elder Lin nodded in satisfaction and earnestly exhorted, well, very good. Young Lin, I believe you will accomplish this task with flying colors. But remember, time is of the essence, and the international situation is ever changing. There's no room for carelessness or slackness. We must seize the moment and finalize the upgrade plan as soon as possible, striving to have the improved H-6 bomber soaring in the skies as soon as possible to defend the nation's airspace. Don't worry. After returning to the 077 Machinery and Arsenal from a Yan State Air Force Base, Lin Chenran immediately convened a meeting with the aerospace team. The meeting was titled H-6 Bomber H-6 Master Upgrade and Reconstruction Conference. Upon learning that their company had been awarded the H-6 Bomber Upgrade and Reconstruction project, the aerospace professionals at the 077 Machinery Arsenal were both excited and apprehensive. They hadn't imagined they would one day be involved in the upgrade and reconstruction of their own nation's strategic bomber. Everyone, the meeting is officially underway, Lin Chenran announced to the group. Chapter 296, Is it necessary to upgrade and modify the H-6 bomber? Linjiang Province 077 Mechanical Arsenal. Lin Chenran summoned a group of senior leaders of the 077 Mechanical Arsenal and a group of elite talents in the aerospace field to the conference room for a meeting. They sat in a spacious and bright conference room to discuss the upgrade and transformation plan of the H-6 bomber. The Yan State Air Force attaches great importance to this work. They have carefully arranged special personnel to deliver some detailed design drawings of the H-6 bomber to the 077 Mechanical Arsenal. A group of experienced and professional H-6 bomber engineers were also specially deployed to provide support. After everyone took their seats, Lin Chenran looked around the audience with a sharp gaze and then said in a calm and firm voice, "Dear colleagues, what we have in front of us are the basic design drawings of the H-6 bomber. Please take 15 minutes to carefully browse through them. Afterwards, I hope everyone can speak freely and put forward their ideas and suggestions for the transformation of this bomber without reservation." His words were concise and clear, and they set the tone for the meeting. As soon as the words fell, the attendees sprang into action, flipping open the heavy documents on the H-6 bomber in their hands. For a moment, the only sound in the conference room was the gentle rustling of pages. Lin Chenran was no exception, absorbed in his study of the H-6 bomber document. His brow furrowed in thought at times, his head nodding slightly, as if agreeing with certain parts. During those brief intense 15 minutes, everyone raced against time to absorb the knowledge and inspiration from this precious document. Time flew by like a fleeting horse, and the 15 minutes vanished in a flash. Lin Chenran slowly raised his hand and gently clapped his hands. The crisp gentle applause seemed to possess some kind of magic, abruptly pulling everyone's thoughts back from the dense and complex H-6 bomber design drawings to the real world before them. His face was as calm as water, his gaze serene as he gazed at the crowd. He began, "Now, everyone, please share your thoughts on these H-6 bomber designs. Sitting nearby, Meng Chunping, the chief designer of the Dragon Shadow fighter jet, frowned deeply, his normally stern face taking on a solemn expression. He sighed deeply, then spoke slowly, in a calm yet slightly concerned tone. General Lin, the performance of the H-6 bomber is truly drastically outdated. As soon as he finished speaking, the executives of the 077 machinery arsenal and numerous aerospace engineers present nodded in agreement, expressing their deep agreement. They had long been aware of the H-6 bomber's relative technological lag. However, upon actually examining the detailed design drawings, they realized its actual lag far exceeded their initial expectations. The challenges and difficulties of comprehensively upgrading such an outdated bomber were undoubtedly immense. It's no exaggeration to say that this level of effort is almost equivalent to meticulously designing and developing a brand new medium bomber from scratch. Consequently, some senior officials at the 077 machinery and arsenal felt that continuing to expend vast resources and energy on upgrading the H-6 bomber was unnecessary. This undertaking would require enormous manpower, material, and financial resources, and there was no guarantee of satisfactory results. Since such a tedious undertaking wouldn't yield the desired results, why not simply change their approach? Completely abandon the upgrades to the existing H-6 bomber. Instead, focus all available resources on planning and developing a completely new strategic class bomber. The engineers sitting nearby, working on the H-6 bomber's design and development, instantly felt a touch uneasy. To have their project, in such an important and formal setting, receive such harsh criticism was unpleasant for anyone. Fortunately, at this time, Lin Chenran keenly noticed the subtle changes in the atmosphere on the scene. He immediately spoke to comfort them. Please don't take it to heart. We are discussing the issues here today based on facts. We have absolutely no intention of targeting anyone. Thinking back then, our country's economic situation was very backward and poor, but you relied on your superb and outstanding professional skills, as well as your indomitable and never give up spirit of hard work, and you successfully designed and developed a medium-sized strategic bomber that belongs entirely to our country from scratch. This is simply a world-shaking feat that is extremely admirable and beyond reach. When Lin Chenran's affectionate and heartfelt words reached the ears of everyone, the expressions of those H-6 bomber design and development engineers who had originally had strange expressions on their faces began to soften slowly. Just like the ice and snow in winter encountering the warm sunshine, it gradually melted away. The awkward atmosphere and resentment that had previously permeated the air quickly disappeared without a trace, just like the morning mist meeting the rising sun. At this time, one of the engineers took the lead and said, "Mr. Lin, we sincerely hope to contribute to the upgrade and transformation of the H-6 bomber." As soon as he finished speaking, someone immediately echoed, "Yes," followed by another firm and powerful response, "That's right." Just like that, a group of predecessors who had participated in the design and development of the H-6 bomber spoke enthusiastically, vying to express the ardent and strong desire deep in their hearts. Seeing this, Lin Chenran knew that now was the best time to boost morale. So, with a smile on his face, he stretched out his hands calmly and gently moved them up and down a few times, signaling everyone to be quiet first. After the scene calmed down a little, he said confidently, "I have deeply felt the persistence and belief in everyone's hearts. The subsequent upgrade and modification of the H-6 bomber still depends on everyone's concerted efforts. As long as we are united and work together, I believe we will be able to present the H-6 bomber to the world with a brand new look." When Lin Chenran finished speaking, everyone immediately applauded. The applause resounded throughout the conference room. After the applause died down, Lin Chenran began to explain his suggestions for upgrading the H-6 bomber. The first was the modification of the fuselage. Chapter 297. Give the H-6 bomber a full upgrade. The massive H-6 bomber's fuselage was facing a major overhaul, as its existing structure necessitated significant revisions. This aircraft, dating back to the 1950s and 1960s, was already significantly outdated and unable to meet the rigorous demands of modern air combat. The once awkward fuselage needed a reshaping, becoming more slender and streamlined. Simultaneously, the aircraft's aerodynamic layout required comprehensive optimization to better align the H-6 with aerodynamic principles. Even with the original turbojet 8 engine, this meticulously modified version of the H-6 would achieve a significant increase in speed. The slender fuselage would naturally extend the H-6's combat radius. An excellent fuselage design was crucial for a bomber. It possessed the magical power to transform decay into something truly remarkable, completely transforming the aircraft's performance in every aspect. Lin Chenran stepped forward, offering his unique insights and valuable suggestions. Seated below, engineers from the 077 machinery and arsenal, who had previously participated in the original design and development of the H-6 bomber, as well as numerous elite aerospace professionals, quickly took up their pens and began jotting down these key points. Previously, the H-6's performance had been so lagging that everyone had been stuck in a rut, struggling to come up with feasible design improvements. Thanks to Lin Chenran's timely and insightful prompt, a myriad of creative ideas for a completely new H-6 bomber fuselage design suddenly emerged. Then, everyone in the room enthusiastically raised their hands, sharing their ideas for a modified H-6 bomber fuselage. Each proposed design was met with lively discussion. The atmosphere was incredibly lively. Seeing this, the former H-6 bomber design and development engineers beamed. They hadn't experienced anything like this in a long time, and now, at the 077 machinery and arsenal, they were finally enjoying it. After half an hour of discussion, several fuselage designs for the modified H-6 bomber were tentatively finalized. This represented the convergence of the ideas of top aerospace professionals. After further refinements and discussions, the final fuselage design for the H-6 modified bomber will be finalized. If the H-6 modified bomber is to achieve a quantum leap in performance, its power output system must undergo a comprehensive and in-depth upgrade and overhaul. The WP-8 engine previously fitted to the H-6 bomber no longer meets the combat requirements of the new era and is destined for obsolescence. The WP-8 engine provides a meager 9.5 tons of thrust. This significantly limits the weight of ammunition the H-6 bomber can carry. Due to its lack of power, its combat radius is a mere 2,000 kilometers. Even if equipped with highly lethal weapons like nuclear warheads, an H-6 bomber with a range of just over 2,000 kilometers will significantly diminish its deterrent effect on the enemy due to its limited range. This is why the Yan State Air Force is upgrading the H-6 bomber. A bomber with a combat radius of only 2,000 kilometers simply doesn't offer much deterrence. Even more devastating, the H-6 bomber's speed hasn't even broken Mach 1. If intercepted by advanced enemy fighters, the H-6 would become a massive, slow-moving sitting target. Facing the onrushing enemy aircraft, the H-6 had virtually no chance of escape, seemingly destined for a tragic downfall. Existing bombers from other nations vastly outclassed the H-6 in terms of speed and combat radius. The H-6 could barely see the sight of other nations' bombers. The engineers who designed and developed the H-6 bomber harbored a burning desire, a complete upgrade and overhaul of the H-6's engine. Frustratingly, engine technology proved a persistent weakness for Yan China, a daunting challenge. The aviation sector had long been lacking in core competencies, but the 077 machinery arsenal suddenly emerged as a dark horse. If they hadn't successfully acquired key engine technology from Russia, if Lin Chenran hadn't obtained this crucial engine technology through undisclosed channels, they would have been a disaster. I'm afraid that even today, Yan country will remain stagnant in engine technology, with little room for major breakthroughs or advancements. In the field of aerospace engines, the 077 machinery and military factory stands alone, its reputation far and wide. In China, if it claims second place, no other military factory dares to claim first place. Replacing the H-6 modified bomber with an engine capable of providing continuous power is a simple task for the 077 machinery and military factory. Meng Chunping, standing nearby, suddenly announced to the crowd, "We can use the engine used on the Y-10 airborne early warning aircraft in the H-6 modified." He then added, "This engine will provide continuous power and unleashes powerful thrust. The WP-8 engine pales in comparison." The former H-6 bomber engineer was stunned at first, then smiled uncontrollably. A superior engine can significantly enhance a fighter's performance, significantly improving speed, combat radius, payload capacity, and more. Of course, this engine also has a significant drawback, its high price. If the modified H-6 bomber uses this aircraft engine, the price of subsequent orders will increase by a level. Previously, the Y-10 airborne early warning aircraft was very expensive, which led to the Yan state military being willing to only purchase a few. Immediately afterwards, Lin Chenran asked Meng Chunping to explain to everyone present the various parameters of the aircraft engine equipped with the Y-10 airborne early warning aircraft. Meng Chunping did not disappoint him. He coughed and then explained to everyone who had not learned about his own aircraft engine. The various parameters directly surpassed the WP-8 engine. The two are simply worlds apart. There is no comparison at all. The aircraft engines of the 077 machinery arsenal are not inferior to advanced aircraft engines of other countries in terms of performance. After Meng Chunping finished explaining the detailed data of his own aircraft engine, everyone present felt that this engine must be equipped for the modified H-6 bomber. Even if the Yan State Air Force thinks it is too expensive, it must be equipped with it. An excellent aircraft engine can improve the overall strength of a fighter. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 298. It's not the quantity of soldiers that matters, it's the quality. As for how many H-6 bombers, upgraded and modified by the 077 machinery and arsenal, the Yanjiuo Air Force will ultimately purchase, that's not something the factory's top brass can decide. Such a crucial decision requires comprehensive consideration of numerous factors, including the defense budget, strategic needs, and coordination with other military assets. For the 077 machinery and arsenal, their current focus isn't on the quantity the Yanjiuo Air Force will purchase. Instead, it's on fully leveraging their capabilities, utilizing existing advanced equipment and high-quality components, to transform the H-6 bomber into a superior, modern fighter. As the old saying goes, it's not the quantity of soldiers that matters, but their quality. This principle holds true in modern warfare. The deterrent power of a bomber with exceptional performance far exceeds that of a similar aircraft with a large, but relatively backward fleet. If a bomber's performance is too outdated, even a large fleet will struggle to instill fear in other countries. Military powers like Russia and Taiwan may not possess a staggering number of bombers, but their quality and efficiency are crucial. These advanced bombers, with their exceptional speed, powerful payload, and highly intelligent combat systems, pose a formidable threat to any potential adversary worldwide. This is undoubtedly a vivid and powerful demonstration of this capability. The Shinio aviation engine, independently developed by the 077 machinery and military factory, and installed on the H-6K bomber, is a significant highlight. This engine, incorporating the essence of today's most cutting-edge aviation propulsion technologies, delivers breathtaking performance. The H-6K bomber is a significant step forward, achieving a maximum speed of an astonishing Mach 1.2. This significant breakthrough is undoubtedly groundbreaking, significantly enhancing the bomber's battlefield penetration and rapid strike capabilities. Compared to the previously used WP-8 engine, the new engine offers significant advantages. Few bombers worldwide can reach Mach 1.2. The perfect combination of the H-6K and the Shinio aviation engine puts it firmly within this rare group, a testament to the exceptional performance of this engine. The speed of an old H-6 bomber was significantly increased. Currently, the fastest known bomber is undoubtedly Russia's White Swan, the Tu-160, which can reach a staggering top speed of Mach 2. While the Tu-160's speed is indeed remarkable, this extreme speed cannot be sustained for long. Normally, the Tu-160 flies at Mach 1.2. This demonstrates the magnitude of the speed increase achieved by the H-6K with the Shinio aviation engine. The H-6K bomber not only achieved a significant improvement in speed, but also in bomb load capacity. This remarkable improvement in bomb load capacity is ultimately due to the H-6K's two powerful engines, which deliver a continuous output of powerful power. These engines are responsible for increasing the H-6K's maximum bomb load from a mere 12 tons to 20 tons. The meeting lasted 3 hours, and several proposals were finalized. These were only preliminary decisions, awaiting further research and approval from senior Yanjiuo Air Force leaders. At that time, we will select the most suitable plan, and finally carry out in-depth design, to design a modified H-6 bomber. After the meeting, Lin Chenran dragged his slightly tired body back to his spacious and tidy office. He first sat down on the comfortable office chair, closed his eyes slightly, and let his body and brain get a moment's rest. After a short rest, Lin Chenran opened his eyes and cast his gaze on the red telephone in the center of the desk. He took a deep breath, then stretched out his right hand, grabbed the receiver steadily, and then skillfully pressed a series of numbers. Almost at the same time as he dialed the number, a familiar beep sound came through the telephone line, echoing in the quiet office. Time passed by minute, and the beep sound continued to ring. After waiting for a while, a crisp click sound came from the other end of the phone, indicating that the call was successfully connected. Suddenly, a familiar voice echoed from the receiver, its voice as resonant and clear as a bell. "Lin, how are the discussions on the H-6 bomber upgrade plan going? Any results?" Elder Lin on the other end of the line was clearly impatient, and before Lin Chenran could even offer a greeting, he launched into a direct question. The performance of a bomber is a key factor in the strength of a nation's strategic deterrent. Hearing Elder Lin's eager inquiry, Lin Chenran quickly responded, "Elder Lin, after a day of intense discussion and research, we have preliminarily finalized the upgrade plan for the H-6 bomber. We have several promising areas for improvement this time, but the final plan requires your personal confirmation with the senior Air Force leaders." Without delay, Lin Chenran immediately reported to Elder Lin the details of the day's meeting. "Excellent. As long as there's an upgrade plan," Elder Lin exclaimed excitedly after hearing Lin Chenran's account. A childlike smile lit up his weathered face. For a long time, the problem of the relatively backward performance of the H-6 bomber has always been like a heavy stone weighing on the hearts of all the soldiers of the Yan State Air Force, including Elder Lin. Especially compared with the advanced bombers of other countries, the H-6 is not a little behind in performance. Now that we know that there is a feasible upgrade and transformation plan, how can we not be excited? Lin Chenran said cautiously. The engine of the H-6 modified bomber must use the Shinio aviation engine of our 077 mechanical arsenal. The previous turbojet 8 engine must be abandoned. It has already completed its mission and can be retired with honor. Shinio aviation engine? Elder Lin muttered in a low voice, and suddenly, she seemed to think of something. "Lin boy, the Shinio aviation engine is the heart of the Y-10 airborne early warning aircraft. That's right, Elder Lin. Only the Shinio aviation engine can meet the needs of the H-6 modified bomber. Directly arrange the Shinio aviation engine for the H-6 modified bomber, unless the Yan State Air Force does not allow the 077 mechanical arsenal to participate in the H-6 bomber transformation plan. Otherwise, the Shinio aviation engine must be the engine of the modified H-6 bomber." Chapter 299. The H-6 modified bomber must be Shoei. Since the Yan Air Force had solemnly entrusted the upgrade and modification of the H-6 bomber to the 077 mechanical arsenal, it would undoubtedly devote all its efforts to completing this arduous task, ensuring that the upgraded H-6 bomber was truly presentable, comparable to existing medium bombers worldwide, and even surpassing them in certain key performance indicators. Elder Lin knew that the Shinio aircraft engine was extremely expensive. But when Lin Chenran and many top aerospace professionals unanimously agreed that equipping the upgraded H-6 bomber with the Shinio aircraft engine was imperative, the Yan Air Force's senior leadership would undoubtedly be informed. These professionals' opinions and suggestions were often based on in-depth research and practical experience. If the performance of the modified H-6 bomber remained similar to the original, then there would be no need for an upgrade. With so many restrictions, it would be better not to modify it at all. The turbojet 8 engine, the core power of the H-6 bomber, had long been a source of dissatisfaction among the Yan Air Force's senior leadership due to its gradually outdated performance and poor reliability. They had long been eager to retire this outdated engine and consign it to a museum for future generations to admire. As for how many upgraded H-6 bombers equipped with the advanced Shinio aero engine would be purchased, the final decision naturally rested with the Yan Nation Air Force. Thinking of this, a gratified smile crossed Mr. Lin's face. He replied firmly, "No problem. The upgraded H-6 bomber will be equipped with a Shinio aero-engine according to your 077 machinery arsenal's proposal." "I agree with this proposal." Lin Chenran breathed a sigh of relief upon hearing this. The Shinio aero-engine was extremely expensive. Lin Chenran had feared that Mr. Lin would be reluctant to use it on the H-6 bomber. Now, all the problems had been solved. "Mr. Lin, there's a reason for its high price. The Shinio aero-engine has revolutionized the H-6 bomber. Speed, combat radius, payload, and so on have all been significantly improved," Lin Chenran explained to Mr. Lin. After Lin Chenran's further explanation, Mr. Lin's anticipation for the upgraded H-6 bomber equipped with a Shinio aero-engine deepened. "Mr. Lin, your Air Force must send someone to our 077 mechanical arsenal within a week to confirm that the upgrade and modification plan for the H-6 modified bomber meets your needs." Lin Chenran gave an approximate time. "No problem, we will send a professional team." Upon hearing this, Mr. Lin responded quickly. After the two chatted for a while, they hung up the phone. Time passed quickly like a white horse passing by. In a blink of an eye, the night quietly left, the dawn light cut through the sky, and a red sun slowly rose from the distant east. The bright sunlight was like a golden veil, gently falling on the vast earth, covering all things in the world with a layer of dazzling brilliance. The scorching sunlight shone directly on the bed through the window. Lin Chenran was awakened by the bright light. He opened his eyes slightly, adapted to the sudden light, and then gently rubbed his still sleepy eyes with his hands. Then, like a lazy cat, he stretched out his body leisurely, stretching his limbs that were slightly stiff from sleeping for a long time, and let out a satisfied sigh. Lin Chenran has been extremely busy these days, and he is exhausted both physically and mentally. Now, he can finally have a good rest and sleep until he wakes up naturally, which is simply a luxury for him. After lying quietly in bed for a while, Lin Chenran sat up slowly. He shook his head, trying to make himself fully awake. Then, he picked up the mouthwash cup on the bedside, walked to the bathroom, and began to wash up simply. After finishing washing up, Lin Chenran changed into a neat work suit and went to the staff restaurant of the 077 mechanical arsenal to have breakfast in high spirits. The restaurant was bustling with people, but Lin Chenran did not stay too long and finished his breakfast quickly. After leaving the restaurant, Lin Chenran went straight to his office in the office building. As soon as he entered, he sat down in a comfortable office chair, adjusted himself a little, and called his assistant Zhao Liang, asking him to bring him a cup of steaming hot tea. After a while, Zhao Liang walked into the office with a cup of hot tea with a light tea fragrance and gently placed it on Lin Chenran's desk. When everything was ready, Lin Chenran took a deep breath, adjusted his state, and devoted himself to the busy work. As the 077 mechanical arsenal continued to grow and develop, and its business became more and more diverse, Lin Chenran, as a core figure, had a heavier burden on his shoulders. Although the senior management had shared some of the work, he still had to deal with a lot of affairs every day, and his work saturation had almost reached the limit. If it weren't for the joint efforts of the team members, even if Lin Chenran worked around the clock, it would be difficult to promote the continued rapid development of the 077 mechanical arsenal. Not long after, there was a slight, but clear knock on the door. Lin Chenran in the room was concentrating on the pile of documents in front of his desk. He didn't look up from the voice, but continued to work on the documents. The sheer volume of documents was staggering, as if they would never be finished. Most important matters required Lin Chenran's personal review and decision making. "Come in, Boss Lin." X3 They were Ma Fengshen, the chief designer of the Y-10 aircraft, Meng Chunping, the chief designer of the Langying fighter, and Song Xian, the head steward of the Type 077 mechanical arsenal. Seeing the three arrive, Lin Chenran quickly stood up, a smile on his face, and quickly paused his busy work. He turned to his assistant, Zhao Liang, and whispered, "Quick, bring everyone some hot tea." Zhao Liang quickly responded, heading to the tea room to prepare it. Lin Chenran then warmly invited everyone to the sofa area. Shortly after everyone had taken their seats, Zhao Liang entered, carrying a cup of hot tea. He carefully placed a cup on the coffee table in front of each person, then tactfully and quietly exited the office, closing the door behind him. Everyone, Please try this cup of hot tea first. This tea is hard to come by. I went through a lot of trouble to get just a few ounces. Usually I can't bear to drink more than a sip myself." As Lin Chenran spoke, he stretched out his hand and made a gesture of invitation to everyone, indicating that everyone should taste this rare good tea together. After everyone had tasted the tea, he got straight to the point. Lin Chenran took out a design drawing from the safe. Song Zian and the other two took a look at it and gasped. "This? Chapter 300 Stealth Bomber Development? Stealth Bomber?" Song Zian, Meng Chunping, and Ma Fengshan all gasped at the same time, their faces filled with disbelief. Mr. Lin's idea was truly too bold and avant-garde. He actually dared to try to apply stealth technology to a bomber. This was an innovation beyond imagination. The concept of stealth fighter jets was first proposed by the Eagle Source side, and they had already successfully developed the world's first stealth fighter, the F-117 Nighthawk. This fighter jet was finalized as early as 1981 and officially entered service with the Eagle Source military in 1983. It has now been in service for over 4 years. Furthermore, according to reliable sources, the Eagle Source side is also secretly developing a stealth bomber. At this time, Lin Chenran nodded slightly and said with a smile, "Yes, it is a stealth bomber." Upon hearing this, Song Zian frowned tightly, with a strange look on his face, and asked worriedly, "Do we really have the ability to develop it? Not to mention the extremely high difficulty of this technology, the financial investment alone is probably an astronomical figure." The Eagle Source had previously announced to the outside world that they had developed a fighter called F-117 Nighthawk, but the outside world generally believed that this was just a scam they set up. The purpose was to lure the Russian bear into the trap and let it compete fiercely with them in the field of stealth fighters, thereby consuming a large amount of the other party's national strength. Meng Chunping and Ma Fengshan, who were standing aside, also echoed, "Yes, President Lin, this matter is no trivial matter. We must think carefully about it." However, Lin Chenran shook his head slightly, his face solemnly denying the claim. "Mr. Song, the Eagle's Nighthawk F-117 fighter jet does exist, and it possesses impressive stealth capabilities. As early as 1983, this advanced fighter jet entered service within the Eagle's military." He paused briefly before explaining, "However, information about this Nighthawk F-117 fighter jet has been kept strictly confidential, with virtually no disclosure to the outside world. This strategy of playing both true and false, real and fake, made it difficult for Russia and other countries to grasp its true nature, allowing the Eagle to seize a valuable advantage in the stealth field." Upon hearing this, Song Zian and the others' expressions darkened, their brows furrowed. Clearly, this news was a bolt from the blue, making them realize the enormous gap between them and the Eagle. The gap only widened, like a chasm, insurmountable. "Then what should we do?" Ma Fengshan couldn't help but ask. A hint of hesitation and unease lingered in his voice. No one could imagine the sheer effort required to catch up against such a formidable foe. Everyone knew clearly that the Eagle Source's successful development of that remarkable stealth fighter was the product of the combined might of the nation's entire nation. They had spared no expense, assembled the nation's top scientific research talent, and dedicated themselves to achieving such remarkable results. Meanwhile, the 077 machinery arsenal pales in comparison, both in terms of financial resources and accumulated experience and knowledge in stealth technology. The gap between the two was a world of difference, one a preeminently powerful nation, the other a mere third-tier military factory. Faced with such a vast and yawning disparity, everyone present was filled with worry and gloom. Yet, amidst this solemn atmosphere, Lin Chenran displayed an extraordinary calm and composure. In his eyes, the seemingly mysterious and unattainable stealth fighter seemed insignificant, as if solving this problem was a piece of cake. Lin Chenran truly possessed this confidence and self-assurance. Smiling, he calmly explained to the crowd, "Don't be intimidated by the unique nature of stealth technology. In fact, to explain the principle more simply, it's simply the clever use of the fuselage's unique structural design, combined with the special materials used. This effectively evades radar detection, making it difficult for radar to accurately pinpoint its location and presence." Lin Chenran had numerous stealth fighter designs in mind. The stealth bomber he had brought out this time was a coincidence, as the H-6 modified bomber was currently under design and development. He also brought out the stealth bomber to discuss with several aviation experts at his own 077 machinery arsenal. Song Zian and the others were impressed by this idea. A stealth bomber, this is something neither the US nor Russia can develop right now. If the Type 077 machinery and military factory manages to develop it, then that's too much to even think about. Let's do it. Song Zian and the other two made a resolution. A surge of heroism surged within them. Let's do it. Everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses. If the US can develop a stealth fighter, why can't the Type 077 machinery and military factory? They just won't believe it. Mr. Ma, you will be the chief designer of the stealth bomber, and Meng Chunping, the deputy chief designer. Lin Chenran continued, Meng Chunping, you will also be the chief designer of the stealth fighter. I plan to develop 2 stealth aircraft simultaneously. The development of stealth fighters and stealth bombers follows similar paths, differing only in certain aspects. Of course, developing a stealth bomber is far more challenging than developing a stealth fighter. The small size of a stealth fighter allows it to better evade radar scans, achieving a non-traditional form of stealth. Stealth bombers, on the other hand, are different. Their large size makes it difficult for radar to find them. Yes, Mr. Lin, we will not let you down, nor the expectations of the factory. Ma Fengshan and Meng Chunping responded in unison, assuring Lin Chenran that they would complete the task of designing and developing the stealth fighter. Song Zian, standing aside, smiled slightly, then as the chiefs cheered, I will ensure everyone's logistics. Everyone looked at each other and laughed unconsciously. Suddenly, bursts of laughter rang out throughout the office. Then, Lin Chenran took out several simple design drawings of the stealth fighter from the safe, and provided them to Ma Fengshan, Meng Chunping and others for reference. This provided them with a good idea. This is my general design idea. You can take it back and take a look at it for reference. As for the special materials on the stealth fighter, I have already arranged it, and it should be resolved soon. The 077 mechanical arsenal also has related research on stealth coating materials. As for when the finished product will be available, I don't know. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.